How good it looks.
And then we still have to sync it. Excuse me. Can I get in here?
Jesus Christ.
And then we still have to sync it in post up to the audio that's being recorded. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything is working this time.
Okay.
Because that was like, last episode was the audio only, and we were counting on that video so we could advertise for that book.
I know.
And we got...
Heath told me, I said, if FireBro didn't come out on that one, I don't know what's going to bring out FireBro. But at the end of the day, what can you do?
Yeah, it was just like wind out of the sails.
Oh, yeah, that's a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, because everything we had going over here, everything was just fine.
Yeah.
You had no way of knowing.
Have y'all talked about that for those who are listening? Do they not know what's going on?
He put out a.
I put a disclaimer. If you went to the YouTube video to watch the last one, I put a disclaimer in the front, like, "Hey."
That just means the Chief didn't go check us out on
That's
YouTube.
Exactly.
That's what that means.
No YouTube.
Thanks, buddy.
He didn't help our download count there, or view count. That's all right.
Of the 7-minute clip,
we're still like, I don't know, 999,000 away from being monetized.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thanks, man.
Up until today.
We were almost there.
This is going to be the one. This will be the one.
This could be.
This will be the one.
So you may be thinking, because I haven't switched the cameras, who is that?
Oh, yeah. I bet
Angel's voice that you're hearing right now.
They can't figure it out.
And it's just this guy.
It's this dude.
Chad, the Chief, is back with us.
The Chief
I'm back,
Miller.
baby.
That's right.
Some tough talks today.
Doc will be here shortly. He's running a little late. I know that's really shocking for you guys, but Doc will be here shortly. This is his chair, obviously.
I hope he's okay because he's been in the sun all day long.
He has been.
He will be dark.
Mm-hmm.
He will definitely have a tan.
His melanin count will be up, but that's okay. That's what happens when you go on cruise.
That's right. That's what happens. You get sun.
Hopefully, it's a straight cruise.
Well, we just experienced one of those days, and you were with me, where when we're old men.
Yeah.
You know, where were you on September 10th? Is it the same way it was?
September 10th, yeah, day before September 11th.
Right. September 11th, 2001, September 10th, 2025. You know, it's weird when you have those days like that where when you're in it, there's this, I don't know, did you notice that? There's always this weird cloud. I don't know how to put it.
Yeah, I was headed to the Chief, fully ready to engage in a whole nother conversation, which we maybe are able to get to tonight. I don't know. If not, it's always there. And as soon as I walk in the door, you're like, have you seen this? And I said, oh, yeah, I just heard about it. And they're like, have you seen this? And you showed me what happened to Charlie right there. And it changed everything.
Yeah, everything.
And I couldn't shake that funk. Couldn't get out of it. And I don't think anybody that saw that, because it is so real and so visceral, in your face, thousands or hundreds or thousands of phones videoing this content.
Yeah,
everybody got a front row seat to it.
I don't know that I've still shaken it. Really, I mean, it's been this whole week has been, it's just been bizarre, man.
That may be a good thing.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that when you have an assassination, and this was clearly an assassination, it's not a murder, it was a politically motivated assassination. When you have that happen with someone, I think there's a couple of layers to it. Is that you start looking and you say, well, this guy, I mean, he literally, the only thing that he did was used his words to
engage in public discourse.
That's it. I mean, literally, like, and what his whole,
as far as we know.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I know you're right. There's, I mean, who knows? Skeletons in every, like MLK. We found out there's some pretty bad skeletons in that guy's closet. But that's part of it, and also the horrific nature of seeing how it actually went down. But there's also, like, for me as a Christian, you know, when you lose a brother in Christ like this, even though I didn't know him, but I saw the impact he was having. And whenever that's ripped out so violently, and I also think it's this cumulative case, because now you have the response that all of us have seen now of, I mean, vile, disgusting, awful things that people are saying, that it just creates this full effect where we're now, it's a global event, right?
Oh, it is. Yeah, it has set off global marches.
Yeah.
Australia, London. Of course, London has their own issues.
But Charlie was a big part of that.
A big part of it. So that I didn't really listen or pay attention to Charlie. I knew of him, knew him, what he stood for, what his values were, and that's the other problem. They didn't just assassinate or murder the man; they murdered our values.
Yeah, well,
and they murdered our morals.
And that's what he was killed for.
Yeah,
literally, right? Yeah. So, and that's why I think this negative backlash that they have misplayed their hand on, in my opinion, because you're starting to see where Office Depot, Texas Roadhouse, you name it, all these different businesses across different American Airlines, Delta, that are firing employees for saying atrocious things about this. And they didn't expect it. They really didn't. These people they didn't expect to have any consequence.
They've been getting away with it for so long. They've been getting away with it. Yeah, they've had control of the censor. They were the censors. Yeah.
Right? And so
we have completely flipped the script on cancel culture.
Yes.
They are eating crow.
Yeah. And the only thing, and like, what were we getting canceled for? Right? Oh, there he is.
Doc is
here.
Doc
What's
has
up,
arrived.
Doc? Dude.
Have some fun in the sun today?
She switch it over yet?
Not yet. You even sound a little different. Bro. No, Doc, you know where to sit.
No, this is your seat, Doc.
You're in the Doc chair.
You know where you're supposed to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Doc is arrived.
Whoa.
Working on my tan, y'all. I'm sorry, man. I spent the time.
There he is.
The sun's getting away.
Well, you were on the cruise, but damn, you spent a lot of time in the sun, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, put your headphones on right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We haven't been at this more than, I don't know, what, 3 or 5 minutes?
Literally, yeah. We just got rolling. So,
yeah.
Right, cool.
Yeah, no, I think that for them having to adjust to what I hope is a new world. But I will say that I don't know if y'all saw. Did y'all see the congressman who introduced the bill? He's a Republican who was wanting to essentially shut down, like, if anyone who criticized Charlie Kirk, that they would get their online activity. He named all kinds of things that he was basically wanting to infringe on their right to speak.
I can't support that.
I can't support it at all.
It's a very slippery slope.
No, and
because we have been in that seat, right?
Yes.
Like everybody on the other or on our side has been in that seat. Let them talk. Let them vilify themselves.
Yes, and the thing is that we were willing to deal with the repercussions. And me as a business owner, I'm willing to deal with the repercussions of letting my political beliefs be made known.
Yeah.
And if that means people don't come to my business, if that means whatever, right? Fill in the blank. I don't want to give someone ideas of things to do to me, right? but I'm willing to, because I believe it.
Yeah.
So, but that's a different thing, right? So, and now with these guys, for them to be willing to suffer the consequences, you have to let them, just give them the rope.
Yeah.
I'm a little reluctant to use analogies like that now. Right? Because not because of Reuben.
Jesus,
no. Don't do it.
Dang,
no.
Reuben, I'm sorry, bro.
I don't want to use. I've noticed I'm thinking of violent analogies.
Yeah.
War, things like that. I want to. I'm just thinking about that. I don't know.
Like, we don't want it to escalate to that point.
No, and that's the point.
But we're there. Every time they push us, and this was a big push, but what happens if we're at war with ourselves? Well, you have China allying themselves with Russia, North Korea involved. All these big Axis nations are having a look at what we have going on internally here.
Yeah, and we're sitting here fighting amongst ourselves over people that want to allow kids to cut off their dicks.
Yeah.
Come on, man. What are we doing? And that's why I'm hoping that this shift that's happening, or it seems to be happening. So for them being able to suffer the consequences of their speech, right? That because I don't know any of us who want to send our kid to school, who want to go to a doctor, right? Like, if Doc held those views, where he literally rejoiced at the murder, the public execution of somebody that did not have a judge, jury, or a trial. And he rejoiced over that. Why would you want to go see him as your doctor?
You wouldn't. Common sense would say you shouldn't.
No, because if you're going to rejoice over the murder of someone, the violent murder of somebody, then why would you want to give, you believe the exact same things that he did, but I'm going to take care of you. Yeah. It's like, no way, dude.
We have a problem with across the board, whether it's political, religious, race, anything. We have a problem with value of human life, and that's spread across the board. Like, no human life, they're not valued, and that's clear in the response to what happened to Charlie.
Yes.
So yes, the guy. There's a lot that's come to light about the dude that murdered him, but the biggest outcome of that is the exposure of, like you said, everybody that reveled in it.
Well,
and it's not. You can't attribute this to mental illness. You can't attribute this to racism. You can't attribute this to religious belief. This was not a small minority that was reveling and celebrating this.
No.
There was a lot of people.
No.
That's a problem, and that's where you end up with the degradation of the value of human life.
Every small town in Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Delaware, doesn't matter. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
We've seen that here. My kids have already had friendships that have walls.
Good.
Kids that they knew from elementary school, that because my daughter is saying this is wrong to support this, and what happened to him was evil, and the other kids are celebrating. Come on, man. What are we doing?
Yeah. Off my phone. Go ahead.
Jeez, is your first time on a podcast, bro?
Yeah, no, they're everywhere. But I don't want to miss this point, because this is important.
When you say they're everywhere,
the people who have been sucked into this ideology, who have been ideologically possessed by, I would say, literal demons, but they have this ideology, and you were talking about mental illness, and I've said it for a while. The left, and be that the moderate left or whatever, the second that they allowed this transgender ideology to take hold in their movement, that's when they sign their own death certificate.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking metaphorically, right? I hate that I have to
maybe.
You know what I mean?
Depends on how far they want to take it.
Well, here's the thing. They already did that, because now, in order to admit you were wrong, you have to admit you're Joseph Mengele. You have to admit that we've allowed children, and not only allowed, encouraged, and put it from the APA and the highest echelons of the medical industrial complex and the government itself to push down where treatment, right, gender affirming care was cutting kids' dicks off, and cutting healthy girls' breast tissue off, and taking flesh from their arm and making a Frankenstein penis. And they have to admit at this point that we did that, and also the transgender regret, all the surgical regret that these kids have whenever they become adults. They didn't want to pay attention to the stats that if you leave them alone, they will accept their biological reality when they get older. Over 90% of them do. And now they've had surgery.
Or even after they get out of the household, because a lot of this stems from parenting and parents saying, "Oh, little Johnny he's playing with Barbies. He must be a girl." Well, I think we'll get him gender affirming care.
I think that there's three different categories on this.
Yeah,
you have the Munchausen moms, right? The Munchausen moms, Munchausen by proxy, where they the terrible mother fit in they basically encourage this. They always wanted a daughter. They always wanted a son, whatever it is. And they encouraged that. And they fully got that kid brainwashed.
As the expose we've all seen going on now with the catfish, they're 100% promoting it. Or
Yeah.
Have you not watched that?
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. You've got those moms, but then you also have the two that don't want to do it, but it happens anyway. So there's two different, they're kind of the same person, but one, you've got the parents that they take their kid, and here's what happens. This is all documented. These kids go and they go online, and they go to the Discord chats, they go to the Twitch, they go to the Reddit. They go to all of these, and then there are groomers on there who tell them, all right, the first thing you have to do, you have to threaten suicide. You have to threaten suicide and say that you're suicidal because your parents are misgendering you. Your parents are not accepting your gender identity, and you have to put an abuse situation in place, right? So now you have that in place. And then what the therapist says is, do you want a live son or a dead daughter?
So
So they put these parents who aren't willing to, and I think part of it is low IQ. These parents aren't intelligent enough to actually study and look at it. And if you turn the clock back 10 years, they didn't know. Now, if that would have come at you, or me, any time from the time our kids were born up until then, I don't care what the therapist said. I don't care what the doctor says. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the other category. Now, we live in Texas where they can't take our kids. If you're in California, if you're in these other states, you are now abusing your kid because you do not use their preferred pronouns. Mm-hmm. You do not encourage them in their gender identity, so the state can come and take your kids. So it's not just now the Munchausen moms. Yes, that's bad parenting. The other two, I mean, it may be allowing your kids to get on the phones, be an iPad kid before they should have been. That could have been your flaw in parenting. But most likely it was somewhere along the lines, they got sucked into a world online that truly, and of course, especially when you look at daughters and the girls, is they get sucked into it. And it's a social contagion. They're usually on the spectrum. Over 70% are on the spectrum of autism of some kind. They're the odd kids. They're trying to fit in. They're looking for a way to, and it is just a phase.
Or they're following a trend.
It is literally. It's a social contagion. That's why the rates literally went up 2,000%.
Yeah.
Traditionally,
I saw a meme the other day. It was like millennials, like we grew out our hair. Can't believe, or the millennials can't believe we dressed like goths back then.
Yeah.
Gen X, is that your? Are you?
I'm Gen X.
Yeah,
yes.
Gen X was like, we grew out our hair and listened to loud music or whatever. We smoked weed, and then you got Gen Z. It's like, I can't believe we chopped our dicks off and following a trend.
No,
it's a social trend.
Think back when we were in 7th and 8th grade, right? I don't know how y'all were. I went through some radical swings, dude. I went through, because I was listening to Public Enemy at one point, so I became a black militant in small town Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Like, I literally, man, I was listening to PE, man, and I was down for it. And then I pivoted, and then I went like hard redneck. By the time I got, and I went through these weirds, and then it was rocker, and because I'm just trying to figure out who I am, man. I don't, I'm 7th, 8th grade. What crowd am I going to be a part of? Because I wasn't a jock. So, like, well, what am I going to be? And you're just trying to figure it out. But now that is a valid option. So the kids get sucked into it. But what I was going to say with all of this, the underlying point is that it's inherently violent.
Yeah.
It is inherently violent. And it is a violent, that's why the last now 11 mass shooters have been somewhere in that community, right? They're somewhere in it. And it's a violent ideology. And now, if you can now say that with utter confidence, not because of the murder and the assassination or the school shootings. You can say that because if you are willing to celebrate a gruesome murder of a man in front of his wife and kids, and literally celebrate it. I'm talking like you got that video of people who are over the moon about this. All because he shared ideas that they differed with, then, bro, you're lost.
You play this shit real quick.
Animal Hospital in Oklahoma. They got the rainbow up there. Gentle care. Gentle care is what they're supposed to be all about. Gentle care. And yet the owner of this animal hospital tweeted something, and this young man put it right here in the parking lot in the open field, right next to the animal hospital. So
the animal hospital didn't put the sign up.
No.
Oh.
Somebody else did in a vacant field. Yeah, bravo.
Guys by can see this. You got to see what this.
But look at this. Look at this vitriol.
This is the actual tweet of the owner of this place. Gentle Care Animal Hospital. Charlie Kirk, right-wing, stupid F, MAGA activist, shot unalived at Utah campus. He's only the first.
There it is.
Are you freaking kidding me?
There it is.
Could we actually be getting smart and killing the sick ones?
See?
Oh gosh, I want to offer his family my thoughts and prayers with the middle finger.
That right there's it. That's it, bro.
Oh, and he's not the only one.
No.
There's hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
No, a young lady who is 16 years old that I know, I used to pick her up, one of my daughter's friends. Same mindset. And we didn't who saw that? That's the ideology, and you can't, and you're not disparaging them at this point by saying it, because the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
Never mind their response when something happens on their side in the streets versus ours. right? Like we're going to a prayer rally. We're going to, we're not going and destroying downtown Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going and dressing up and
we're not causing public chaos.
No. It's and those kind of things to me make it's so black and white that I don't understand. Don't do it, dude. Why do you do that every time,
Reuben. Bro? Look at it's in solidarity today.
I'm gonna let you finish. I got a few things to say, but
Please do. Go ahead.
Let's go.
No, roll.
No, I think for sake of, I do actually want to say something because I want to be sitting on this great podcast and be considered the token black person in here. And I am in a season where I vote with my feet. I go where I like. I sit where I like. I think I'm not, being on Whiskey Bros and knowing you guys and what you're about and then putting it out on social media. I got friends from all over the world. I've lived in different states. And so, you get, there was a season where I'd maybe fear some blowback from such situations. But I think from
people you care about.
From people I care, people I know,
yes.
friendships, whatever.
Family.
You can miss me with that nonsense in these days. And now I think what has happened, I was at work when I first heard that Charlie Kirk was shot because I was just going through the news. I read a lot of news anyway. So, and then we took a break, came back, and I saw that he had passed away. And in my mind, because my BA is in political science, it's something I did. And looking at the political landscape, I'm not one to be caught up in it, but I read a lot.
By the way, congratulations for graduating with a poli-sci degree without being completely brainwashed.
No, yeah, but this was definitely 20 plus years ago. So it was a different time.
It's a way different
kind of thing, and where I went to. But I think what my mind was like, okay, I knew who Charlie Kirk was. I know a lot of people in political, in sense, because I just follow them. It's not like I'm involved in it, but just being curious about that. But it really put this country into a interesting place, especially coming from countries where political violence is normal.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when I sit with Americans, I hang out a lot with Africans on purpose because I want to sit with people who, when we talk about something, we have a understanding of it that it's not foreign to us. So when we talk about political assassinations, that's new to most Americans.
What how many coups was it?
If I talk to a Kenyan, for example, and we talk about
four coups, Reuben?
There's been political assassination. I talk to somebody from Sudan or whatever. We know what's happening in our part of the world, and we still live here. So we're juggling those two things. And so when we see things happen here in the U.S., I think there's two sentiments. For us, it's not new, like political violence, if you've come from that. But second, it's like I would say for myself is the U.S. really starting to go down a road and end up in places we wanted to leave?
No, and that's the point is that we don't want to be desensitized to that.
Yeah.
Right? God forbid that we in the United States, which we don't want to get desensitized to something like that happening where it's just another day. And in the same way that, we kind of have in the school shooting realm. Yeah. Because that's happened so much. Yeah. And we're not desensitized to it fully, but it's the same.
They can get there.
It's another one.
It's another. And I think, and the key of free speech, that's something that I think I understand more as I get older. And it's just like, people are going to say what they want. That's what's the nature of this country, and it could be atrocious. It can be kind or whatever, and that's going to happen. But you have to be. Americans always built like this. Like you got to be tough to take it and not react in a way because you live in all different parts of the country. Yeah. And so someone who says something in Seattle, Washington, which I spent a year and a half, I don't mind it. That's their part of the U.S. as long as it doesn't infringe on the places I live. And I tell people I'm very careful what I say about my home country of Chad. Because I want to go home.
Yeah.
That actually happens, right?
Yeah, it actually happens.
Yeah, I saw that. So
your scenario, though, about ignoring the problem in Seattle is fine until it broadens out past.
Yeah, I'm not saying the problem. I'm saying this. Yeah, someone can say what they want. Yeah, and I hear it. But if it begins to manifest in laws and things that encroach upon my ability to say things here, then we have a serious problem.
Yes. See, and that's why I think
but that's how it all starts.
Exactly.
It starts by he lives in California. Let's use California because look at the amount of stuff that's going on there, and then we're like, it's okay.
No, we've heard it. So goes California. So goes the United States.
Yeah, none of it's big. Nobody's going to take big giant steps, but they're gonna take away a little bit at a time, and a lot of this is and I've not heard anybody bring it up, and which I've been thinking this since day one of it. Everybody says political, but I don't know that it is. I don't know.
He wasn't a politician.
He was not only a politician. I mean, he was.
No. It's morals.
Yeah. No, I think it's a God thing.
No, it is a spiritual thing.
That dude was just as much bringing people or trying to bring people to Christ as he was trying to get them to vote for Trump.
That was his first mission.
Right.
That was his first mission. He always said that Jesus, family, country.
Right.
I mean, always, and everything that he said, he lived that out.
Right.
And so, and that's the thing that we can't avoid that part of it, the spiritual aspect of it.
Yeah, big, huge.
Right?
Spiritual.
No, because I think that's our whole problem as a group Americans.
Yeah.
Is we've took God out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we do it? Little
by little.
Well,
we were okay with them starting letting dudes have sex with each other. It was okay.
Yeah.
Now look where we're at.
No, look.
It starts from somewhere always.
So they call it the slippery slope argument and fallacy. There is a fallacy to it, like a logical fallacy, the genetic fallacy, all those. There is a slippery, but this is not a slippery slope fallacy. And when I say that I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, right? Mm-hmm. And it always has been. This is interesting. It's not even because I don't have to go to my Bible. I don't have to go to the church history or anything like that to prove that, because even in Roman culture, in Greek culture, even the Greeks, man, and we know what the Greeks were known for, but even in their culture, marriage between one man and one woman was the established, the family was the foundation of their society. Mm-hmm. So when we let that get out, and that doesn't mean, because I have gay friends. Mm-hmm. I have friends that I know that I love and that are gay, and that's their choice to make. I wish that they wouldn't act on it. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to treat them any differently.
Right.
I'm going to love them. But when we said marriage, and people say, well, we want the government out of marriage. Government shouldn't be in marriage anyway, so let them get married. I said, no, there are certain, and this is where I abandon libertarianism. I'm still libertarian at my core, but I'm a pro-life, conservative libertarian. But libertarianism
Wait a minute,
fails.
I want to go back, and if I don't, I want to forget this.
Yeah.
You say you love them. Your gay friends.
Yeah.
Do you tell them they're going to hell?
If
you really do love them,
yes, of course.
That's exactly what you're going to be telling them.
That's okay. Here's the thing. In the same way that if I have a friend who is having an affair on his wife, if I have a friend who is doing something that is a mortal sin, that is putting his soul in mortal peril, then yes, I'm going to say that,
because that's our beliefs. And I have a gay friend. Maybe two. I don't know.
Whoa! Hello. Hello.
Sarah the beard.
Hello. It's not hello.
So again, I don't have a problem with him. Or her. I don't have a problem with what they're doing. I can't judge. But my beliefs is, if you don't change, you're going to end up going to hell.
You can't act on it.
That's my belief.
You can't act on it. And people say, so...
What do you mean you can't act on it?
The same-sex attraction that you have. Yeah, that you have.
And that's my belief. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Theology up in here?
Yeah.
This took a turn.
Well, no. I think... But But when we let that loose in culture, it was a quick... and there are some that we talked about it before, the OSGs, the old school gays, that when the trans movement came in through the back door, they took over the whole movement.
I follow
Gays Against Groomers.
Gays Against Groomers.
Gays Against Groomers, great.
What did
right?
you just say? No, where'd they go?
In the back door.
Oh, in the back door.
Hello, it's part of the. It's part of the package.
Can
bro.
you pass around your what's in the bag? No, what's in the bag?
I need to get a fresh. You don't want that.
Don't want that one.
Oh no, I don't.
I got to get a fresh.
Can I say something? Yeah. I think there's. It goes also with speech. So when somebody says something, there's trying to understand how they're saying it and getting to the point. So that requires the listener to really work through what that individual's saying. And then there's things that somebody says that because they may be saying something that is harsh, but it is true. Right?
Yeah.
And I think
the truth is not always easy to digest.
Easy. So when you if you listen to Charlie Kirk and some of those things, when people hear it, they hear the harshness of it and dismiss what the truth is.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, there's a way of how you articulate things in a way that you get across clearly what you're trying to say. So
how you say it is just as important, if not more important, as what you say.
And even at the end of something you say, people are going to take it the way you are. So it's also impactful for the individual who's listening to understand nuance. And I think we've lost that within culture.
Sure. Well, but online, social media has been a huge contributor to that, right? Yeah. Because when we do this, how many times have we had these interactions where when you're with somebody like this, you're talking about some very serious things, very heavy topics, and it doesn't come to blows. I mean, sometimes blood pressure might go up, right, when you have a serious disagreement, but there's that threat of violence, especially when two men are engaging in it, that it keeps it tampered. But when you're doing this, that threat of violence is gone. And so it just explodes.
And then the videos that I did see on Charlie, just going off of what you said, was about how you do talk to people like that. That's what he was really great about, because obviously I'm never going to go to somebody and go, dude, if you don't change, you're going straight to hell. Technically, that's what I believe, but I'm going to try to tell you that in a way of, this is why I believe it. This is, and that's my belief. I can't put my belief onto you. I mean, I'm going to tell you what I believe. It's totally up to you to take the steps of
you can lead a horse to water,
because
right?
you got to think, if every minister, pastor, whatever, pope just tells people,
priest,
hey, this is the way, you're going straight to hell, ain't nobody listening to that.
Well, okay,
nobody.
And you'll appreciate this. This is one thing I learned way before I became Catholic, is that when you're so what's the Greek for gospel is good news, right? So gospel is the good news of Jesus Christ. But you can't understand the good news unless you fully processed and understood the bad news. You have to understand the bad news, because what's the point of having good news if you don't know what that's rescuing you from?
The contrast,
right? But you have to be able to do that. Like Jesus used salt and light. You're the salt of the world. If the salt has lost its savor, it's good for nothing to be trodden underfoot of men, where they would use it on the Roman roads, right? And a light, you don't hide that light under a bushel, right? Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah.
Okay, can we pass around the white trash sack there?
Am I on here? So this is Natty Daddy.
Speaking about,
it's not just Natty Light. It's Natty Daddy.
Look at this, man. 8%.
You know what? That's why we have. If you want more alcohol content, there's this thing called whiskey.
Yes,
and you don't have to subdue yourself. Speaking
Natty
of
lights.
Potentially being gay and condemning yourself to hell, could it be considered that somebody that might smoke vape from a blue and pink vape machine might be condemned to
straight from China?
So, am I on here?
And made by communists.
And by the way, this literally, so Texas just outlawed these. So we went in after church, and
this story could also make you gayer.
Yeah. And so it was the last day that legally you could buy Chinese-made vapes in Texas. And they were basically giving them away because they can't sell them now. So I got one. In honor of y'all, I went ahead and said, look, I'll just...
All right, Rubles, pass me the white trash sack.
Hey, but speaking about the whole song that y'all just sung, that's sung to us as children song, but what is one thing we portray evil as, which is darkness, and where can darkness not live in
the light, of course.
And that's what we've done as Jesus followers, however you want to put that, is my opinion is we've covered it. We've
hit it under a bushel.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And we have allowed evil just to come in at all directions, and now we're dealing with it.
So with that metaphor, first off.
Yes. Get some of that.
Tell me that tastes...
It's glorious,
It does not taste bad.
That tastes like trailer park.
You're so full of shit, dude.
Dude.
You are so full of it. Look, give me a good...
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's good.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
That's good.
That's good. Get on that, Ruby. Come on, Ruby.
Yeah. It tastes like incest and...
No, it doesn't.
That's good beer.
That's good beer, dude.
Come on.
Man, get out.
It's not bad. I drink it though.
All right.
If somebody gave you one, you wouldn't buy it, right?
No. Times are hard, man. You give me one, I'll take it.
That's right. Free beer is the best beer.
Yeah, okay, so with that metaphor, how have we allowed the darkness to consume?
It's just like you said. So Jordan Peterson put this analogy up, and I thought it was a great way of putting it. And it was how we allowed communism, but it applies to this. when you're standing, the cliff is all the way over there by the door, right? That's quite a ways, and someone is standing up in your chest. And now a big step back, I'm not going to do that, but I'll just shuffle my feet back just a hair. I'll just shuffle, and then slowly, incrementally, you keep caving, you keep taking steps back, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, the pebbles are falling off the edge of the cliff.
That's right.
And you're on the precipice. And now you can't use your hips, you can't use your center of mass to push back because you've lost your footing. You've completely lost your footing. You've got no way to counter because you voluntarily allowed yourself to get backed up to the point that now I'm literally teetering, and I have no strength when I'm teetering.
Right.
I can't do anything but grab onto you and take you with me, right? If you follow that analogy all the way through. But we slowly did that. I think the biggest part of it, if you look historically, and let's just use American culture, the biggest part of it was the 60s, right? Now, the seeds of it were growing up, and there I saw a great, who was the guy? Norman Rockwell. There's a Norman Rockwell painting. You remember Norman Rockwell had all those paintings in the 50s? Yeah. And he was a great social commentator through his art.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. There's this picture of the dad sitting there on the couch, reading the newspaper, smoking a cigarette, and behind him, his wife and 3 kids are all dressed for church, and they're all walking to church behind him while he's sitting there just smoking a cigarette, chilling. And that did happen in the 40s and 50s. Those dads just stayed at home while the wife took the kids to church.
That still happens today.
It does still happen today. And the stats on that, and this is another, going back to Charlie Kirk, they hated him because he quoted stats. If there's one thing the left hates, it's actual hard data.
Facts.
Hard data. Any set of data, they don't like that. And so that's where the whole facts, don't care about your feelings came in. But when you have a dad who stays at home, and whether you believe it's right or not is not the point. It's irrelevant. When you have a dad who stays at home and the mom raises the kids, those kids grow up. When a mom is the one taking them to church, it's about a 20 to 30% rate where they actually obtain the faith of their mother and then become active, whatever that faith is, versus when the dad does. When the dad is leading the family and he takes the whole family to church, then you have an over 90% rate where those kids then grow up. Now, they may go out and, we all have to figure it out on our own.
That's right.
We all have to make our mistakes. Yeah. But those kids ultimately grow up.
They started with a good foundation.
They had that foundation, and so what's the scripture? Train a child up in the way he should go,
and he shall not depart from.
And when he is old, he shall not depart from it. Right. So,
but that's pretty crazy. What do you think that is? Just because it's a mother taking their kids to school or church versus
because and again, and that's where you could even back this up even further. And we talked about this a little bit before, the lies of feminism. Where when you tell a woman motherhood is slavery, which is demonic, I mean, and anti-science, anti-nature. No, motherhood is it is the most beautiful thing, and that's why Paul said that
it's literally the most important job.
Yes,
in the world.
and Paul himself said that woman has a crown on her. Why? Because she is the one that has children. It's a beautiful vocation. And women inherently know this, right? But you allow feminism to come in and you say, well, you can kill your babies because motherhood is slavery, right? Motherhood is slavery. So you need, instead of being a slave to your husband, they want you to be a slave, and boy, you start going down conspiracy crossroads on this. You look at Rockefeller, and you look at all these people that want, and the factory workers, they say, no, we want to double get the workforce, get the women into the workforce. And I'm not saying women shouldn't work outside the home, but I'm just saying that there is a consequence to that as a society. And so now, and that was one of those slow steps. We just slowly kept going back.
I've got this up here. Social constructs drive human behavior.
See, I would say the opposite. I would say that the human behavior ultimately sets what the social constructs are. And with the collapse of Christendom, I'm not talking about Christianity, I'm talking about Christendom. Christendom is the idea, and it's the truth, that when Christianity was the foundation of Western civilization, which it is, not just was, it is the foundation of Western civilization. when we started to have that dad sit there and smoke the cigarette while the mom, and they started abandoning that, then it didn't take long. And then by the time the 60s came on, and the sexual revolution, which, by the way, was funded by Big Pharma and the birth control pill. Look, you look at that, and you look, and then now it was a quick thing. It was quick. The 60s, the counterculture revolution.
That's part of this point in the social construct. Like, where did it come from? Where did the idea of the mother abandoning the household and joining the workforce? What spurred that?
Oh, that was the early suffrage movement, and we kind of talked about this before, where the suffrage movement was there were obviously good there were good motives there for a woman's equal right to vote, things like that. And again, and I'm not saying women shouldn't vote, but I'm just saying that the stats don't lie. Stats don't lie. But there's so many points here. College professors and the leftist indoctrination in the colleges, and we cannot forget and not talk about communism and Marxism. And
the
infiltration,
colleges, and also media influence too. Yeah, we've got to get to it all.
But the early Marxists were. Here's one thing: the communists are not. They're not, and I'm not talking about the useful idiots, as Lenin put it. I'm not talking about the useful idiots at the bottom. I'm talking about those at the top. They're not stupid, and they're not impatient. They can take their time.
Yeah.
They know, hey, we may not get it done this year, which is really actually kind of wild. I've always thought that was fascinating, that those who have a materialist worldview, who don't believe, and that's a core tenet of communism, is atheism.
Atheism, yeah.
Because you can't have an authority greater than the state. You can't. That's why in every communist society, they have actively sought to destroy the church, and Christianity specifically. Because Christianity itself, and if you look at the roots of it, when Marx was writing and Engels were writing the Communist Manifesto, they were actually satanically inspired, and it was all about destroying God, right? It was all about that. So as they got to that point and they infiltrated, they said, well, we're going to infiltrate, and they were very intelligent with this, the universities, the media, the government, and the seminaries. And they did it. And they did it. And it worked. It worked because it got us to where we are. But that's why I think, back to the original question, when this happened to Charlie Kirk and the response to it, there's a reason it was so big. Because that really, it's almost like there was this unveiling to where we finally saw it for what it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, who knows where we go from? We're only, 4 or 5 days out of it?
Yeah, 5 days is about right.
Yeah. So I don't know where that goes. All I know is that our responsibility at this point is to continue being salt and light. It's to continue speaking the truth with love and in grace and standing on. And people would say, okay, like from my post where I'm kind of I'm celebrating people getting fired.
Yeah.
For saying these things.
Yeah.
I'm openly
consequences. You need to know what they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have free speech, but you got to understand what that free speech, you also have a consequence for it.
So, and one of the big things that people want to attack Charlie Kirk for is what he said about the Second Amendment. Right? He said that with the Second Amendment, there is danger in that. And I'm not going to misquote him. Well, I am going to misquote him because I don't know the full quote, but he's essentially saying that when you have liberty, and we all know this, when you have freedom, there's danger with that. There are consequences to that. And when you have the Second Amendment, there are going to be bad things that happen. But ultimately, the right to bear arms and protect yourself from a tyrannical government, which is the entire point of the Second Amendment. It wasn't for hunting. It wasn't even for personal defense.
No.
When you look at the writings of the early American
Federalist Papers,
man, it was all about defending yourself from a tyrannical government.
People don't read the Federalist Papers enough. They just read the Constitution. But if you read the Federalist Papers,
that gives you context.
Explain to you why
Correct.
they wrote the basic it is.
That's the context.
And those aren't in public classrooms, really.
They're not. I think if you take away context, you just lay something out there, but why was it articulated
then it's
this
open
way?
to interpretation.
Why is it doing that? Then it's more. But when you understand people wrote and said this is the very reason, they were more intelligent than we are. I think, people think that governments can't engross power. Obviously, you can see that happening, whether from one election to the next. It's just engrossment of taking away of human, the citizens' rights. I remember growing up here in the States in the 80s. It's like like Washington, D.C., weren't concerned about it, but now everything funnels through political power and political, hierarchies and all of that. And then you start getting into those issues that the founding fathers were talking about. And I think if you look at, I think what I appreciate, talk about something about light and darkness, is you can understand the U.S. a lot better. I think I'm speaking to a lot of people who live elsewhere, because you can contextualize that where you've come from. So you see it. You see things happening in the United States, and you're like, you get more concerned because you know what it is when you don't have free speech and you don't have, the Second Amendment, and you don't have these things. And so, like I said, I really worry about, I think in the U.S. I have free speech to talk about what happens here, but I'm also understanding of where I come from, that I would like to go home, so I'm very careful with my speech. So I can see the limitations that I have, what I can say about Chad.
But you're willing to measure that yourself and to make the decision, okay, I know that I have the freedom to say this, but that doesn't mean that I have to say it, right?
Yeah. And if I say it, I know that flying in to my home country, so people can bring it up what you say all the time. And I know that from a cousin who's involved in politics and friends who are involved in politics in Chad and what they're going through. These are not foreign people to me. These are close individuals. And me, who's not heavily involved in that, is like, do I really want to, get involved? But in another way that you're saying, Chad, there's no more sidelines of anything in this world anymore. Meaning you can say, I don't want to be involved in politics. I don't want to be involved in these arguments.
That's true.
But the problem is they're going to pull you in any way, form, or shape. And so at some point you either draw the line and say, hey, I have nowhere else to go, or draw the line and say, that's enough. I'm not running anymore.
You can't be the Church of Laodicea. So, you can't be the Church of Laodicea. So so in Revelation, the church, there's 7 letters that go to these 7 churches. And the Church of Laodicea gets a letter, and he says, I wish, this is Jesus telling John to write this church letter. He says, I wish that you were either hot or cold. But because you are lukewarm, I will vomit you out of my mouth. Because they tried to take that middle road. Yeah. And that's not the road. No. But we talk about freedom of speech and the First and Second Amendments, right? Chappelle put it beautifully, right? Yeah,
in case the Second Amendment doesn't work out.
In case the First Amendment doesn't work out, the Second Amendment's there. Yeah, but we don't, and there's a reason that the left, up until now that we're going after them and the consequences of what they're saying on this, that they were attacking the freedom of speech. Because what is speech? Speech is thought. That's all it is. It's thought put to words, and we can't minimize how important that is, because even the Bible itself, how did God create the universe? And God
spoke it.
God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be. And God said, spoke. It's all speech. Speech is thought. That's why the Communist Manifesto, any communist, they have to take away freedom of speech, because that's freedom of thought.
That's right.
And you cannot have freedom of thought.
And if they can't do it from a legal standpoint with the government, then they just murder us.
Correct. And that's why, full circle, we're actually feeling a little bit of relief now, because American Airlines is actually firing a pilot and a flight attendant and whoever else, because they said something and they suffered the consequences for what they said. And they didn't expect it. But what you said, bro, you should expect that. And it's shameful on our society that they felt comfortable enough that they could relish in the horrific murder of a man. They felt comfortable with it. They felt, I don't care.
Right.
Using their, not even a ghost account.
Yeah.
My name, my picture. Go for it. Yeah, got him,
Right.
Are we really feeling relief? Are these people going to change? Or is it?
No,
because I think it comes back to what you're talking about, right? It's a spiritual, and what you're talking about especially. Yeah. It's a spiritual battle. So at the end of the day, and that's what Christendom is, this overriding a cultural Christianity, which even Richard Dawkins, who originally is one of the four horses of the atheist apocalypse in the early 2000s, was all about. He was wanting to equate Christianity with Islam, and even Richard Dawkins now is saying.
He hung out with Islam for a while and changed just the tune a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that they're equal. I don't think they're on equal footing, and that you have to understand. And Ben Shapiro, I don't agree with Shapiro on everything, but he made a great point on Bill Maher's Real Time the other day, because Bill Maher's an open atheist, right? And Bill Maher is basically, talking about what's right and wrong. And Ben Shapiro pointed out, he said, you were born on third base. Because you were born into a culture where Christianity had already defined clearly what was good and evil. Mm-hmm. And you were, and that was just the way it was. And you can't take that for granted, because you go into an Islamic culture, they have honor killings. If your daughter dishonors you, if your wife dishonors you, you can legally today, in countries of millions and millions of people, kill her yourself, or take her to the court and say, hey, we're going to sell tickets and have a spectacle in the middle of the soccer stadium where we're going to stone our daughter or our wife. So you can't take for granted that these things killing a woman's wrong. It's like, yeah, I know it is, but how do you know that it is? You can't just say that, because there are cultures that, everyone in that soccer stadium is hooting and hollering for the murder of that woman. You can't take that for granted, man. And they have. And that's where, back to your point of I feel like there's at least a dividing line in this happening. And by the way, dividing lines are not good. No. None of us want civil war. You can say stuff like that, but did you grow up with, now I know you've had coups. Do y'all define those as civil wars, or did they
civil wars that can lead to coups? Yeah.
Okay, so
civil unrest, and then it's the idea to overthrow whoever's in power.
So the civil war first led to the coup.
Yeah, that was part of it. Because it's really between two factions of like who holds power, and sometimes it's within families as well, and who hold that.
Didn't France just overthrow their government?
It's getting close.
Yeah.
Is Macron? I think
that Macron.
Macron.
His pronouns were.
Yeah.
Yeah, Macron and his husband.
Yeah. Can you give me the Jeffersons?
Yeah, please.
The Jeffersons. There you go. Moving on up.
Yeah. Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Shit. No,
what's this? The beans don't cook on the grill.
Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill. Yeah. Took a whole lot of Turayan just to get up that hill.
You be cooking beans on the grill, though?
Look, don't come at me, dude.
It's got to be in a pan.
I'm a George.
It's got to be in a pan, though.
That's George Jefferson, dude.
You can't put beans on the grill.
Come at me on that, man.
Before I forget, Chad, I think you said an interesting point. It goes back to what he said. It's like, I think as Christians, we have to understand a little bit of our audience as well. So, for example, I talk a lot. I take in context and switch over. I talk a lot to the African community, and not about the colonial people who conquered us, like the French and English. You can always talk about negative things that individuals have done.
I've wanted to talk to you. So is that is the struggle you're fighting?
Yeah.
Because within your culture, is that the victim mindset, that the cancerous victim mindset that has infected your people
is a colonialism.
Is resentment, colonialism. Yep. Okay.
There's a lot of that. So that's what you see in a lot of West Africa, like in Burkina Faso, with Traoré, who's the president, who's doing some phenomenal things in that area, with some happening in Mali, and kicking out a lot of the French and American troops have been kicked out of Africa because of that colonial past and things have done. But at some point, that is true, and you can point those things out. But they've always pointed out, what are you as the individual doing?
Yeah.
What are we as the African community doing? And so I'm like Stephen Biko, very guy from South Africa. He was actually killed September 12th, 1977. I love what he does. His thing was about black consciousness. Like he said, the liberal is a worst kind of individual because he'll come to stand beside you, but at the same time have a paternalistic attitude towards you.
Malcolm X himself said that.
And so black consciousness was like, you have to pump life back into the black individual to remind themselves of two things: the conspiracy of allowing themselves to be in that position by accepting these ideas, and then not pushing forward in what they can actually do within what they have and gaining power. And so for me, it's talking to Africans like, okay, all of these things that have happened in the past are true, and they have created these outcomes. But at some point, you still have to do the work. What are we doing to create our own initiatives? And what are we also understanding? There's disagreements within our body. So I feel, even though we may be from Africa and the same skin complexion, but I feel at quite liberty to disagree with you if I have to, and not feel that I have to be hiding from those things. So those healthy arguments need to happen in order for us to really develop.
So this is one thing that I really wanted to talk to you about is that I really wanted to talk to you about this.
Penis size?
That's a losing argument, bro. What are you talking about?
We all lose it.
Come on, man. What are you talking about?
Where you going, bro?
I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I'm married 27 years, but I'm not stupid.
That's what I do, bro. Everybody was zoned in right there thinking he's about to say something serious.
Okay.
And I got to do it. It's my job. It's my job is to throw a...
I've been waiting on that cobra to come out of the basket this whole time, bro. So one thing I've noticed is that among African immigrants, black people from Africa versus someone from America who's black, who's been brought up with the American victim culture that they've been taught. I have noticed a disparity, a polarity between those two because y'all have not, and now the reasons why in the black culture, the single motherhood.
Let me interject with my opinion on American black culture. American black culture has a dependency problem.
Well,
and that's systematic.
It's systemic.
It's a created systemic.
The
problem.
Welfare Act in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
You see it with the divorce rates, the single parenthood rates, because it's one of those things. Larry Elder, his documentary that he did, where they went through those stats and they showed that prior to the Welfare Act and introducing that into the system. And by the way, I'm not going to get into detail. I have a personal. This affects me because when you incentivize single motherhood, right, from the government. Now, was their motive to destroy the black family? I don't know. Maybe. All I know is that is exactly what resulted from it.
It was done on purpose, and it's still being done on purpose.
Right.
And it's being done on purpose across the aisles now. In the last presidential debates, I think it happened more on the vice presidential side, but we saw both candidates saying, we'll give you this. Oh, no. We'll give you this. We'll give you this. We'll do this for you.
Yeah, gimme.
And it's just, and all you're doing is propagating dependency.
Well,
and I think that's what they want, and I think that's more of the baby step stuff.
Well, I've seen it personally, where when you incentivize a young woman to say, if you have kids and you have them out of wedlock, we will give you this much. But and this is a fact, the second that you get married, that incentive, your food stamps go down. Everything goes down dramatically. And so when that was introduced into the black culture, you had black families, men and women, husbands and wives. And that man, he was still a man. Right? He couldn't get the best job sometimes. He could work his way out of it, but he was still struggling. But what he owned, by God, that was his. That was his. That was something that I worked for, and I did it for my wife and kids. And then the government comes in and says, well, you're making this much, so we can give you an apartment that has air conditioning, that has a refrigerator full of food, that is completely paid for. But unfortunately, sir, you're making just too much money. And he was already broke. He was making too much for the federal assistance. Exactly. So now what did they do? We've known older people who have done this, who have divorced on paper to increase their Social Security benefits, right? Their Medicare benefits.
Well, not just to, they have to.
They have to
survive.
Or they just suffer for it.
Or suffer, yeah.
And that's where that moral decision comes in.
So before you talk, Reuben, I would like just apologize that us three white boys talked first about what's going on with black culture.
No.
We're for the man.
We're giving him our perspective on it, and we're not in the trenches. We obviously know that. We're not immersed.
I'm stating stats and facts. This is literally what, and you know this, right? So I'm taking the long way around, but I think we got to set this foundation on this.
Well, we're saying it because I think after the last 20 years, I think we've seen race relations in a massive decline.
Yes, and so this is so now that we've established, and by the way, that's not denigrating black people at all, obviously, but to say what the United States federal government did to the black family was horrific, and now you can say they did it on purpose to destroy the black family, and by the way, maybe they did.
I don't know if they did it to destroy. I don't know. I think they did it to get votes.
Yeah, that's my thought. It's done on purpose to obtain votes.
The LBJ quote.
Yeah. And it's not just black. It's everybody. I mean, they've done it to all of us.
Immigrants.
Anyone.
Yeah, anyone. It's the whole how do you boil a frog?
Absolutely.
Very, very slowly.
But after the first Trump.
Yeah.
After the first Trump administration, I saw a lot of fallout and a lot of feedback from Black America wanting. There was one guy in a gas station, and he was, I don't know what he was doing, but he was filming. He's like, I want my goddamn Trump back.
Yeah.
Because he got that check.
No.
He actually got, he was going the other way.
Yeah,
he was going the other way, yeah.
He had his freedom from the government, his ability to be equally opportunity in the world that he lives in.
Yeah. See, so all that said, so back to what I've noticed is that when you have African immigrants from pick a country, right? Chadjans most of all, because
Chad.
I got you. So
some bias
but
there.
when y'all there's a Chadjan bias, bro. But when y'all come here, I've noticed y'all don't buy into that because your mother and father have been married your entire life, right?
Yeah, 47 years.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Y'all had that core family. So how do y'all as a community connect and relate to the American blacks that you know, and what is the other than melanin and your shared ancestry? How much of is there conflict there? How does that?
There is conflict. I mean, I think. You brought a lot there, and I don't speak for the Black American
I know you don't.
community.
I know you don't.
I'm not saying that to contradict you.
No, fair.
So I'm very careful in what I can speak to about personal experience and about what I observe within the African community because that's where my heart is a lot. It's like
absolutely
unveiling the African community, the challenges and history and all of that stuff. But there is a difference because I can tell you right now I saw this when I lived in Michigan. There was a situation there. I'm not going to speak to that because it's going to be a rabbit trail. Mm-hmm. But
we're good with that.
What do you mean? We don't do those.
We just did it. I'm sorry. Keep going. Stop.
But I think that's been a discussion that I had even with some of the people I work with in different organizations is this disconnection or between the Black Americans and Africans and Black Africans, and how can we have dialogue and discussion and all of that stuff. And I have not entered that because I have in the past, but I'm like, I don't really want to enter those discussions as much anymore because I think you boil a lot of just the people-to-people relationships because at the people-to-people level, I think a lot of people get along.
Yeah.
It's when it's people to government, people to nation, I'm pulling a lot of my political science, is when things start getting very difficult and challenging.
That's true. That's true. But this is we can't ignore though. We can't ignore social media. We're recording a podcast right now.
Yeah.
And this is just going to go out.
Yeah.
Into the ether.
Hopefully.
And anybody.
Hopefully.
Well, no, it is. And however it catches.
And I think on one end is I'm more confident in doing those things because I've met guys like you, especially Chad. Chad, I read a lot of your stuff. I'm like, I like knowing this dude, the confidence he has because of the positions he holds and putting out those things. I've always been diplomatic in nature. I think I'm still always be diplomatic.
I'm not. I thought I was.
I'm like, okay. But I think, to that end, I can still be diplomatic, but I'm more confident in sharing my view and my viewpoints because I became a U.S. citizen. And I was thinking about this the other day, so I'm getting riled up about it.
As did we all, brother.
I become a U.S. citizen. I went through the process and the paperwork and the money that went to it to actually become a citizen.
Right.
versus someone who has it and they speak freely and they can. It's like, then I have the ability because I actually put the sweat in versus someone who was born into it. So it takes a little more, I think for me in the recent years, it's like take a little more like, yeah, I can do this because I come from those things, number one. I think also there is a difference between culture with the Black American community, the African community.
Yes.
It's culturally different. We may share the same skin color, but there's 400 plus years of separation there. And it's only to cite as an actual situation. It's not to say one is better than the other, but there are cultural differences in how we brought up and the things that we do and how there's connections as well.
Yeah.
So I come from, like, you talk about my parents. My dad came here for a reason. He was going to school to get educated, provide education for his kids, and then return back to Africa.
The American dream.
You know, I don't know. I don't think for
he was
him
planning on coming back.
He was going back.
Okay.
I left the U.S. when I was 12. He had no intention of staying and making life in the U.S.
Which, in my opinion,
but he got hooked.
No, he went back.
No, but there was a hook that happened because here you are.
No, I came back.
Oh, you came back. Yeah.
Which I think is maybe greater than the big American dream, is because he's coming here to get educated.
Yeah.
But then he's going to go back home
and spread that.
And spread, well, that's good and bad, because I'm sure there's bad things of that same nature from people bringing, like you just said, they just kicked out all the French, which is a very good thing to do. Screw you, French people. Sorry, but you know French. You know how I'm French. But I'm the same thing with America.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, America might be worse. Yeah. So I'm sure you have a lot of that where it is bad, like some of the crap that America has got going on. Obviously, you don't want that in your country. The same.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
So
I will tell you, there's actually, I know there's African countries who send missionaries to the U.S. I actually know that coming from all over Africa. It's like the U.S. is now the missionary field.
Yeah.
For a lot of people around the world. Going back to your point of spirituality. Because one thing, at least in Africa, we still have a sense of spirituality and a higher power that exists. Like, atheism is something that's not going to really take foothold in the other parts of the world.
Right.
Because atheism, by definition, doesn't really make sense. Because you are articulating a being that you say doesn't exist, but in order to that, you have to have some notion of that being. That's the closest thing is being agnostic.
The ontological argument.
It's like, I don't know it just doesn't fit very well.
Well, I never, even in all my rebellious years as a young guy, and I never was atheism never made sense.
Right.
And then especially when I got into apologetics as a Christian, I started studying. And
I moved away from the black question.
We've got this.
We got that.
We've also got this "I'm not diplomatic" thing that I want to talk about with you.
Chad is hurt.
No.
He's cut.
Well. So the atheist question first. It's just atheism fails. So again, we've already talked about the cliff. If you just hit the rewind button on the universe, right from right now, you just hit the rewind button. And whether you believe in Big Bang cosmology, which Father Lemaitre, a Catholic priest, was helped formulate because he discovered cosmic background radiation, right, along with Edwin Hubble, right? But if you look at Big Bang cosmology, or whether you believe it was 6 days or whatever, every cause, right? Every you can't have an uncaused cause. Yeah. You don't have an infinite path of regress. Mm-hmm. And we have an answer for that. And the atheist says, well, we don't know. It's like, well, it's God. God created everything. Atheism has never made sense to me.
It's lack of submission, in my point. Like, you're not going to submit to whatever that may be. Yeah.
But I want to say this, though, bro. So, look, if I am being non-diplomatic in anything...
I think that's what he said, bro.
No, he said you're a hateful asshole.
No.
I said he was bold in articulating...
That's not what I heard.
Well, okay. No, and I mean this because, okay, salt and light. I truly, bro, I want to be salt and light. That's the reason. That was the founding principle. That's why at the top of the chief logo, I've got the Cairo, right? Like because the Chief of Chiefs, the Lord of Lords. I want to be salt and light. I want to do that. And yet I'm me, and I'm still the flesh and the spirit, right? And oh, wretched man that I am, right? The good that I want to do, I don't want to do, right? And the evil things that I don't want to do, that very thing that I do, right? Yeah. So
Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's so hard to do the good things that we want to do?
Because we are yes, we are captured in this flesh, which it comes with the price of sin. And that's the whole point of redemption, is to free us from it. But it's a constant struggle until the day we die. It's a constant struggle. So when I'm not being diplomatic, you guys as my friends are not holding me to account. Guess what? You're in sin. So it's
our fault now. It's our fault.
To quote the Big Lebowski.
I want to tell you, dude, I mean it, man. If I ever say something you think if I've crossed the line, I really, and I mean it. I want, whether my friends are watching this or you guys here, tell me.
We're all here, bro.
Yeah, that's true. I got like 2 more, bro. Don't worry about that.
Let me call them.
But y'all, for real, I really want to know that, and because y'all seen, and by the way, y'all seen the post. No AI. Right? There's no AI in any of the posts that I do, right? That's me thinking about it. That's
Except for Google. For some reason, Google's okay when it comes to AI.
AI is a part of your life, whether you like to admit it or not.
Yeah, but not on the content that I put out.
No, it's just baby steps, bro.
I'm not giving in.
You're moving back to that ledge.
You already use AI.
No, you know what I did last trip?
It's the same thing with him and this iPhone.
No.
When he first started out, iPhone was the devil.
Look, dude, you can kiss my ass.
And now look at him.
You know, the last time that I took a trip, you know what I did? I went to MapQuest, printed it off just so I wouldn't use Google.
Liar.
That's a lie.
MapQuest doesn't even exist anymore.
but I mean that. Now, and this is one of those things, and this is why, man, I love y'all. Y'all know I love each of you guys, man. And that's what I think, because if you look on the front of the chief door, at the bottom of my little rules that are there, I've got, in quotes, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another, right? And because that's why I've always I've never surrounded myself with beta males, right? I've never have. I've always, and when we say alpha males, I'm not talking about a cocky punk that became the cartoon of the alpha male. No, because Jesus Christ, as we talked about, is the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. I've surrounded myself with men who are confident in what they believe, and they know how to stand up. They have courage. They have principles that they stand on. I've always surrounded myself with guys like y'all. And so if I'm ever not diplomatic and you see it, bro, you gotta tell me, bro.
Reuben, don't be a beta male and call his ass out.
Well, let me underline that. I think there's no, let me use this.
I know what
there's
you
no
meant.
appeasement. And the reason, like, you look at World War II, the issue of appeasement of I can't remember the guy's who the British leader was.
Chamberlain.
Was it who just appeased
Chamberlain,
Hitler and kept walking. And this is, you're not a guy of appeasement. Because appeasement's that slow thing of, I'm going to give this to keep from the fight. I'm going to give this to keep the peace. And at some point, there's nothing you're going to, that person is so intent on war or so intent on hurting. And so that appeasement is actually hurtful in the long run.
No, and that's why I think that with Charlie Kirk's assassination, I felt a kindred spirit with that guy, right?
Sure.
And y'all know I'm kind of retarded to the point that I'll die on a hill, man. And I'm talking about it when it gets in me, and it's something that I believe, man. I can't help it. Mm-hmm. I feel compelled, and that's not. It's courage, but it's just I can't. It's how God made me.
Compel, yeah.
It's how God made me. It truly is. It's not one of those things that, oh, look at me. I'm not gonna. No, it's not that, bro. I can't help it. Like, I know if I sacrifice my integrity, it will eat me alive. It will eat me alive. And so I have to stand on those principles, and I have to stand on them. And that's why I've always surrounded myself with guys that stand on those same kind of principles and are also willing to get in my face if I ever get out of line, right? You know, man.
That's what we all need. We need somebody to hold us accountable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, again, back to that war between the spirit and the flesh, none of us are perfect. We're all going to fall into sin, man. Right. We're all going to fall into it.
Following up with your statement of appeasement, I feel like that's what we've been doing with the types that
and that's where that
utilize violence against us.
With all of it.
And that's where that kind of, even though we're still in the cloud, we're still in this weird place.
Yeah.
But we're already seeing this instant reaction to saying horrific things that feels like a turning point, to use the name of his I don't want to say it's kind of a ministry. I think you can call Turning Point a ministry because, again, we would say Charlie Kirk's first goal was evangelizing for Christ.
Well, we hope. But again, like I said, we only know what media shows us. We hope that's what his first and foremost idea, plan.
Yeah, there's always a possibility
with that whole thing. Of
deep state.
Leading people to Christ, maybe. But he also had a political side to him too, which is not nothing wrong. But
it's a social side. Right. It's the outpouring of it, of course.
Yeah. So and that's what we always hope. And like I said, we don't know. We only know, unfortunately, what we can see.
How do we judge a man?
Right.
By their
deeds.
Fruits.
Yeah.
Their deeds.
Yeah.
Correct. That's so based on that, I can judge this man by his fruits. Now, you can go on. Now you could say of course Charlie Kirk wasn't perfect.
No one is.
He was not perfect. He said things. There were things that he said that in the moment, especially when you have one of these and one of those, and you have these things that are going on in the moment. In a brush, especially if imagine some hard leftist has just come up and just
but I've seen I've seen his interactions with some of those people. He treats them with respect too.
But there were some that
there was a couple there. So there is a couple videos. There was a couple that like he got.
That we think if I was sitting there, bro,
I would have unleashed.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he never resorted to anything other than words.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't write policy. He didn't write law, and he encouraged the people that we're talking about to come have a conversation with him.
Yeah,
He still shot him for it.
Yeah.
And in my view of our world, that's what we need more of. Mm-hmm. We need more of this right here. Mm-hmm. But what
do you mean by this right here?
Discourse.
Communicating.
Oh, Yeah.
We each could disagree about something, but none of us are going to walk right back there and grab one of those guns.
But all in all, though, at the end of the day, with us, this is kind of a philosophical and a moral circle jerk because we all kind of agree on.
Yeah,
we agree on a lot. You know,
well, not Reuben. He thinks you're a dickhead.
He just put it nicely. He put it very nicely.
Fascist. I put it diplomatically.
He's a fascist. You put it diplomatically. He didn't shoot you in the throat.
Right. But even if you can, so for instance, I mean, me and Chance, we've known each other longer than any of us. Me and him's got into conflicts where we did not agree with each other.
But men have we're cool.
Well, not all men.
And our wives are scared.
Homeboy just shot a man. Homeboy just shot a man.
Yeah, no,
you're man or whatever.
Okay, can we address that guy? Okay, so what was he doing? He was living with another man.
Converting into a female.
No, but which is an oxymoron because that can't happen.
No.
So at the end of the day, he's a homosexual man who is in with this trans guy. So this guy is not. He couldn't go down to the microphone and say, Charlie Kirk. So he had an opportunity. He had an opportunity that day to step to the microphone and defeat him in the marketplace of ideas because that's what Charlie Kirk opened it up to.
Yeah.
That's my battlefield. The marketplace of ideas. You can come down here, and if you can get on this and you can get on that, and we have this back and forth, then let the victor go the spoils.
Well, I don't agree with that because I don't think that was his thing of I'm right, you're wrong.
No.
Or prove me wrong by getting on the mic.
Well, no, but that was
just a conversation.
Yeah. But he did say prove me wrong because here's the thing: if you're willing to say something, you've got to be willing to say I believe this. Mm-hmm. Right?
You have to have your convictions.
I have my convictions, and so forth. Therefore, I believe this. So if I'm not, and if I'm not willing to do that, then now we're back to that beta situation. So Charlie had that. He knew what he believed, but but I believe this too. When he said, "Prove me wrong," because I believe that. Prove me wrong. That's why I converted to Catholicism. I told a guy, I said, "Look." We had an hour and a half debate. I said, look, at the end of the day, bro, I want to believe what is true. If Islam is true, I want to be the best Muslim I can be. If Jehovah's Witnesses are true and Charles Taze Russell got it right, then I want to be, if atheism is whatever, and then, of course, at that point, if atheism is true, then I can do whatever the fuck I want to do, right? But at the end of the day, whatever is true, I want to believe it. And that's where, when you say prove me wrong, you at that point, you are convinced of what you believe, but you're also humble enough to understand I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. So that's why whenever you come into any engagement, whether it's with friends or with strangers or with enemies, you're still willing to say, I could be wrong about this. Mm-hmm. If you're willing to present the evidence You're willing to show the stats, the science, the logic, the reason.
You're going to have to explain that, because you could sit there for 7 hours and you're never going to convince me that there's one God. Jesus died for our sins. He rose in 3 days. I don't give a crap what you come to me.
It wouldn't take 7 hours.
Well, that's what, but you said I could be wrong.
I'm not going to lead. I could lead the horse to water, though.
No, you couldn't. You could never change my mind on that.
But
you're saying to lead you to the other side.
To the other side. And so you're saying you could. So you're saying that. Well, what you said is I could be wrong, and I'm telling you I can't be wrong.
Well, but that's
how strong my belief is.
I agree.
You can't.
But so at least for me personally, I haven't read the entire Quran, but I've read a lot of it.
Yep.
Right? I've read through the Book of Mormon, not completely, but I've read enough of it. I've looked into all of these different belief systems. So before I discount those, I'm going to study them. I'm going to study, because what you want to do, anytime you believe something, you want to steel man, not straw man. The straw man fallacy is where you present a straw man of your opponent's argument that they don't even believe, and then you burn it down. That's why the straw man fallacy, and by the way, that is the hard strategy of the left. They present a straw man of what you believe, and then they burn it. It's like, well, that's not what I believe. Mm-hmm. You want to steel man your opponent's arguments, whatever that is. Steel man it. Get the best guys. That's why when I converted, I got the best anti-Catholic apologists. I got the best guys so anything that I want to believe, I want to steel man it. I want to know exactly what you believe, and I want the best of the best. I don't want, some low level guy. I want the guys who really represent what you believe, and I want to study that, and I want to know it, and I want to really examine that, and then I can. And since I've done that, yes, now I am so rested in where I am that it would take. I can't think of what it would take to get me to not believe what I believe, right? Because I've studied the evidence for the creator, the logical scientific explanations for a creator. I've studied between the deistic or theistic religions. I've studied all of those to the point that I am convinced, and I've studied the life and the existence of Jesus of Nazareth. I've studied the historicity of who he was, and the historicity and the logical and historical cases for the resurrection itself. Right? And once you go through all that, now I'm like you. It would take I can't think of the evidence that it would take to unseat me from where I believe.
There is none.
But I've at least I'm confident in that, and I'm comfortable with it because I've studied it. I mean, I really have, dude, because I don't want to believe, and I say that to this day, the same way I told Tim Francis, man, I do not want to believe something that's not true. And that's what I loved about Charlie Kirk. He was the exact same way on that. He did not want to believe something that was not true. Mm-hmm. Why would you? Why would you want to believe a lie? Mm-hmm. What kind of life is that? To knowingly believe and base your entire existence?
I don't know. Ask all the mask wearers. Reuben, you just got to tell us to shut up, bro. You got to tell us. I see you writing notes, bro.
I'm trying to find that verse in Ecclesiastes which talks about, I can't remember, there's so much weariness in reading and argument. At the end of the day, is just to love the Lord, because it goes back to what you're saying. It's not all a mind issue within the Christian ideas, the change of heart. So we out there spreading the gospel, the good news, but it is the power of the Holy Spirit that changed the conditions of the heart.
Yeah.
And once there's a heart change, then everything else flows as a mind change and a deed change. So that's why when I remember missionaries always talk about, we're going to this part of the world where the gospel is not there, as if God is not there already. Right. He's just inviting you to work. He's already moving in the hearts of people in that area to receive the good news when they come. Yeah. And so he's always omnipresent wherever he is. And so we can, I think within Christendom, because again, this is one of the things where I say when I talk a lot to the African community and not always to what the colonial or the people did, I do the same with the Christian. I talk to a lot more to the Christian community and the things and wrongs they're doing or the things they're misstepping or not doing than always pointing out the ill wills of the world. Because
can I ask you something? Yeah. Go ahead, finish.
Yeah. Okay. So the idea is we have to remember the issue we're having is a change of heart. Mm-hmm. So we go out and we share the gospel and the Lord will change hearts. And this idea of always wanting trying to see fruit. Sometimes you're not going to see the fruit. You're planting.
Correct.
Majority of Christians are not going to see it. But we live in a society that says, "Oh, if I don't see this in my timeline, God hasn't acted."
Right.
Who are you to tell when God acted at what point?
The seed grows slow.
The blood of the martyrs.
Yeah.
Is the seeds of the church.
You're planting the seed.
By the way, that saying goes back to the origins. Whenever the church was literally in the catacombs, right? So,
but I'm saying the church nowadays, Christians nowadays, are not thinking like that. It's like, I have to see the fruit. No, you do what the Lord asks you to do, and that is the end of it. Because when He's questioning you, He's not going to be like, "Oh, these outcomes of what you." No, did you do what I asked you to do? Well, look what no. I don't care what happened. Did you do what I asked you to do? And so when you do that, He will then do the finished work.
But see, you hit on this little passage, the head-heart connection, right? And we use the heart metaphorically, right, between the soul and the intellect, right? I have always been an intellect first guy, right? Anything that but yet there was still, at the end of the day, before I fully converted to become Catholic, now I never was an atheist, even back in the day when I was literally like bad things, right? Same. I still would be, man, Jesus, man, but whenever I got older, that head-heart connection, I was always an intellectual first. I would always go intellectual first, and it was when I went to Mass for the first time that the heart connected with it. But I also know that there are, and women are emotional thinkers, and that's just, again, science. It's just the way it is. It's how they're made.
That's right.
They're emotional thinkers first, and I've always struggled with
yet another reason why I should be a man and a woman in marriage.
Yes,
because they work off each other. Because men is not an emotional. Well, and some men.
Well, and we talk about, like, if you want to talk about natural law, God's natural law, that's where the Asian culture of the yin and the yang, right?
Yeah,
and there is a lot of truth to that. Right, because chaos and order, the yin and the yang, and the rational versus the emotional, there is a balance with that. And some of us are heavily geared toward one or the other. Right, and so you have to know, and that's where I think that sometimes I can struggle with that, with connecting the heart side versus the intellectual side, and that's what and honestly, I truly believe with Charlie Kirk, that was that was why he inflamed those on the left so much, is because he was. I'm not saying I'm Charlie Kirk. I'm just saying I'm a kindred spirit with him. I just know because.
So I'm wondering the same thing, Reuben. I think the heart and the intellect, like the heart is God, intellect is your own cognitive bias, right? Is that
no? I would say no, because God is the author of science. So when you look at intelligent design and you look into the intelligent design arguments and you look at the mathematical
fine-tuning.
By the way, we don't invent mathematics. What do we do?
We discover it.
We discover it. It's already there. It's baked into the fabric of the universe itself.
Yeah, absolutely universal.
So as emotional and feeling, but as intelligent as you can be, guess what? You ain't topping God. You know?
Okay, so Reuben, that's what I want to. I thought I was thinking the way he was, but maybe not. But like if I'm listening to the voice of God within, how do I know which voice is genuine?
I think what Chad was talking about, it's submission. I think that word always gets, because it has a negative connotation sometimes when you when it comes
to he who formed you in the womb. It's right and proper and just. You submit to him.
You submit. So,
yes,
it's a hard issue of submission. That's absolutely what I'm talking about.
Yes, and those of us who are bent more toward the conservative side, I will bow to no king. Right, I'm not submitting to anybody, but. I love G.K. Chesterton's quote. He says, "A Catholic is someone who has plucked up the courage to admit that there is someone and something wiser than him." You have to be willing to at the end of the day, because ultimately you're the king of the universe if you don't humble yourself before. That's why that's one of those verses.
That's beyond being a Catholic, though. That's any follower, right? Like any deist, any Baptist, any whoever.
Yeah, but you got to realize if you're a Catholic, you can only say good things about other Catholics. You can't say nothing about
Southern
other
Baptists.
I've been saying good things about y'all all day, man. What are you talking about? Oh, man.
No, I think to answer your question,
that's a straw man argument. There it was, straw man argument.
Is I think I speak from a perspective as Christians. Is like when we submit our lives to the Lord, He's always working our hearts. It's always a transformation. It's not a change. Transformation means there's a continuous process that's happening as we become more Christ-like. And so there's never an arrival point in seeing your fruits increase from time to time, year to year, and then you're still going to fall short of the glory of God until His return. And so as you're working those things, and I like what Chad said, it's already baked in. Like when you're a believer, God has given you intellect, and He says use it. Make decisions within the realm of this thing I give you, and you may have 4 or 5 things that may be right, and then I may pluck out of that. Hey, I want you to do more of this. But even if you did these 3 things, is it within for my goodness and my kingdom? And I think God blesses those decision-making things that we have. Well, He gives us that freedom, or we'd be robots.
Yeah.
But He says, I gave you intellect. I like how you say those things are baked into who we are and we're just submitting to who God is as we make those decisions. Yeah. Why? Because they're going to be and we always think about the big decisions, but it's multiple decisions you make every single day.
Those little decisions. It's that same cliff.
It's the same,
yeah. So
it's the same incremental steps that if you don't make those steps in the right direction, you're headed right toward that cliff right there.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you're contemplating big life altering decisions and you're feeling guilty because you're like, I don't know if this is a commandment, I don't know if this is instinct, I don't know if this is a selfish desire. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a path that you're being nudged to. I don't know.
So my brother, where are you?
With what?
With all of this. Where are you?
Still an agnostic. I
don't believe that.
What do you believe?
I don't believe that you're an agnostic anymore. I think that you're. This is just me. You're okay.
Skeptic.
Why? Okay. So what are your obstacles now? What would be your obstacles between you and saying Jesus Christ is Lord, and I'm going to submit to
hard,
Him?
Concrete, tangible, visual evidence right in front of me in this room right now.
Well, I mean, but philosophical and scientific, but you don't have that for atheism either, right? So you know that there's no hard, concrete evidence. I mean, look.
No, exactly. That's why I say agnostic. I can't prove or disprove anything. I can't prove exactly that what you're saying and preaching is 100% accurate, or the
okay, but mathematically, probability-wise, you could say at least statistically and probability-wise. It's like Kierkegaard, right? You could go to that. You could go to that point where it's safer to say that when I weigh all the evidence, it may be 90-10. But I could even say that if you wanted physical evidence. And this is where it really gets interesting. If you study the Shroud of Turin, that's a pretty fascinating wormhole that you can go down, man. And you look at Eucharistic miracles, and you look at these are physical, tangible.
And I've had my own spiritual movements too that have compelled me to think, there is a power greater than us.
Okay, so yes. Okay, so that's not agnostic then. So you're at the point now where you're willing to say, okay, right now, gun to your head, is there a creator or is there not?
I would say yes.
Okay, there you go. So you're not agnostic. So now you're at least a deist.
Okay, yeah.
At least a deist.
But can I add to that? I think that's
baby steps.
That's why I come back
baby
to the
steps.
issue.
We're getting him.
We're getting him. That's not the mission. That's not your mission.
My mission is to get you to heaven, brother.
Yeah, it is.
No matter what.
It is.
That's the main goal.
Because I love you, bro.
I love that's you. Fine. I concur. I love you too, but
yeah. And I want to be with you forever.
That's a little scary. Are you gonna be vaping?
Are we gonna do it?
You're gonna be vaping in heaven?
There's no vaping in heaven.
Hopefully there's no vaping.
There's a lot of clouds in heaven. I just bend down on my feet and take a hit from the cloud.
I absolutely do not believe in like biblical versions of hell. I think if there is a hell, we're in it. We're moving out of it, or we're staying in it perpetually.
Yeah.
I believe in reincarnation.
But based on what? Where's the evidence in this room, and where can you touch it and see it?
Yeah, how can you say you don't believe in God because there's no tangible evidence?
I didn't say I didn't believe in God. You're misquote. You're putting words in my mouth.
What'd you say?
I said gun to head. He believes that.
No, because he said I don't because there's no tangible evidence. Right? Ain't that what you just said?
No, I didn't say I don't. I said I can't prove it because I have no tangible evidence.
Okay, but that was your reasoning for not necessarily believing, right?
Yeah. But you made a logical deduction and you reduced it to where, based on the evidence I have now, I believe in reincarnation. That's what you said, right?
From testimony and stories, sure.
From whom?
That just there's a documentary on reincarnation.
I want to send to this thing about getting reincarnated as a black person. There's a comedian. He says, "All you white people." It's funny. I can't quote it all.
That could happen, or I could be.
You can.
I could be reincarnated as a North Korean prostitute. I don't know.
As a frog, right?
Yeah, or as a frog.
Yeah, I heard that in a discussion. Then it says, but then where do you go from there? Because there's nothing to move you into a positive direction.
It's an infinite path of regress.
But I think the issue that I see, and I didn't even know your journey, chances, it's the same issue that I think we all have, is the issue of submission. This has been coming. It's not because my thing is, let's say you got what you wanted, would you still submit? And that's the question that I see.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, no, I want to fight against you. I want to fight against it, even though everything that you wanted, you got. Mm-hmm. There's still an issue of submission. Okay, I see it. I will now bow to your point and say there's one that's wiser and more powerful and give him all the credit. Mm-hmm. But that's what we struggle, even as believers, is even though we follow Christ, there's issues and things that happen in life that we're unwilling to submit to as well. So that's why I see the issue of submission.
And I picked up on something that you said. So I think the issue of hell, is that fair? That the issue of
heaven and hell, I don't subscribe to a biblical interpretation of them at all. I don't subscribe to a biblical interpretation of eternal damnation and torture or eternal bliss. Those are both horrific.
Eternal bliss is horrific?
Yeah.
Why?
There's no purpose.
What do you mean there's no purpose? It's to glorify God.
It's not glorifying anything. If you're just sitting around and floating around on clouds and streets of gold, and what is there to live for? There's nothing. You have no purpose.
Because the one who created you, the one who formed you while you were still in your mother's womb, the one who gave you every good thing that you have, and even the bad things that are for your good. For all things work together to those who love God, who are called according to His purpose. If you were in heaven with the one who truly created all of the universe, that sounds like a pretty good deal, right? And now you're in, and you could say it's eternal bliss or whatever, but at the end of the day, the alternative is, so let's just say this. Let's say reincarnation is true. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we know the sun's going to blow up. It may be
in this solar system.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I mean, if we were to study, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. But given the evidence, the scientists are willing to say that Earth is going to blow up.
I think that's even written in the Bible.
It is literally written in the Bible. So that's one of those rare where we kind of agree, right? But I've never heard that before. So why eternal fellowship with God would be an obstacle?
It's not,
especially if it's with your loved ones and it's with those. Why would that be an obstacle?
It just, you think about us from a human perspective. Obviously, we're not in a human form in the afterlife, but on this earth, where we're here in the human form, we are driven by a purpose or ambition or goals or whatever.
Why do you say we're not in a human form in afterlife?
Yeah, but I would say this though.
What he's saying.
Here on earth, what is our job? What is our goal? It's to love God and to glorify God in all that we do.
That's religious doctrine, but yes.
No, it's not. It's truly, if you believe that the air that you breathe was given to you by someone, the blood, the heart that works miraculously, the fiber, everything about it was meticulously designed in order to give you life, then what's your reaction to that being? It's gratitude.
Sure. For me, that's in a good situation. What about kids being murdered in school?
Okay, so the problem of evil.
Problem of evil.
Yeah. So the problem of evil is whenever you have, so there's two evils. You've got natural evil, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, right?
You got
cancer.
Yeah.
Then you've got man-made evil, murder, rape, torture, right? You've got both of those. Now, to me, the natural evil has always been the one that's a little bit more difficult for the Christian to navigate through. But at the end of the day, I still think that the answer is the same. When you have, because God is the only one, because he gave you life, therefore he is the one who can take it. So if he is the one who gave life and he is the one who knows the future, he is the one that knows.
So if Reuben gets pissed off at me because of something I said, grabs a gun, shoots me in the head, is he God?
No, of course not. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the ultimate good that plays out when you know all the cards that are on the table, which no human being on earth.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't know too much.
But God does. God does. God does know the ultimate. He knows the counterfactuals. He knows the multiverse options, and he knows that if this, then that, and that, this, then that. He knows all of those. The butterfly effect. He knows each of those. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my favorite verses is Romans 8:23 or 8:28. I always get those two mixed up. But for God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. So that way, when you face that natural evil in your life, your child gets cancer, your husband is murdered while he's speaking on a stage, right? So let's just take Charlie Kirk. Let's just go full circle with this. The good that Charlie Kirk did while he was here and debating people, and it was good. He did produce good. I agree. He sparked a youth revolution. But now in his death, horrific as it was, look what's already happened. We're 5 days out, and look what's happening.
Exponential change.
And now, does that take away from the great evil that was committed against him? No, it does not. But God himself can know. Now, did God cause that? No, God did not cause that. But in his sovereign and divine will, that happened, and with human intervention, the sinfulness of men that happens, God can bring good. It's okay. So do you know the story of Joseph?
Loosely. Let me also tell you that you have a need to have this. Like you have a need to have religion and be a follower in your life. I don't.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you do.
Can I interject?
Yeah, you do.
I think there's a.
Yeah, you do.
There's a level.
Sure, you do. How do you say what's right and wrong? What is good and what is evil?
I don't know. I mean, I just know. I can tell you from my own growth and experience in life that I know what's good. But like I said,
but what if you grew up in that Muslim culture? and there was an honor killing called out against Sarah or against Korah.
Yeah, what your beliefs come from, I can guarantee you, some sort of godly background.
It's the third.
What he's saying is, if he was brought up in Muslim, or what would you say, Muslim?
Yeah, Islam is where
you thought it was okay to stone your wife.
Yeah,
because you did something.
Yeah, I agree.
Now you're still saying, I know what's right and wrong.
That's where you started on third base. That was the argument that Shapiro made with Bill Maher.
Yeah.
It's because you were born into...
So what if you're a baby born in a test tube in a lab and you're exposed to the world, and how do you...
You're still going to have someone's beliefs put into your brain.
No, you have have no stimuli. You have no reference between good and evil. Nobody interacts with you. You're a baby born in a lab from a test tube, and you've got to figure it out. Is that an innate ability?
Well, that's kind of almost like
what you said.
I would say you're sinful. I would say that 100%.
Well,
why? Because even I was just gonna say, because the Lord even says this, like you don't teach your kids to insult people. Mm-hmm. Like that's something they're gonna do out of the nature of the brokenness of their humanity. Mm-hmm. So I would say even with test tube, that's where they're gonna start, because that's what the Lord, from a biblical perspective, the Lord has been clear that everybody born on day one has sinful nature. So you're gonna, if they live long enough, they're gonna outplay those things that you have not taught them.
Yeah, but this baby doesn't know that.
No baby knows it.
So it doesn't have to know it.
Well, I mentioned earlier God's natural law, right? Your conscience. Mm-hmm. There is a natural that you are born with knowing. It's just inherent gut that now your society can nullify that. Can what's the word I'm looking for? That can
suppress it?
Numb it. It can numb it. Yeah, it can numb it down to where your conscience is abused and numbed, and where you don't, you're not able to articulate it. But at the end of the day, I was going to say, if you're born truly in a test tube where you're brought up in a factory, now we're entering Tower of Babel.
But but it still doesn't, to me, from a biblical side, doesn't unlie the nature of sin. It will be unveiled.
No, it doesn't.
In the thinking, because the Lord always took it to a spiritual level. He didn't keep it out at the contemporary level. He said, anything you may look upon a woman and may not commit adultery, but you've already sinned. I've taken to a spiritual level. But I think one of the things I just want to say is, like, I think there's a disingenuousness between, not even from a religious perspective, between individuals who speak to God as if
Reuben talking to
you guys stay in front of the mic.
Sorry, who speak to God as if speak to God as if you're his equal, but you're unwilling to answer the same questions you pose. So you say that this God is like, oh, you did okay. It's like, okay, then tell me what you would do. Tell me how you would, and it's not just for you, but you have to figure out the entire planet. So sometimes I get, and this is more of a philosophical, I try to sometimes when you're speaking to people who are not religious, leave some of the spirituality or the biblical stuff and just say, okay, let's look at a logical level. You are positing a position that you're articulating to somebody else that you yourself at that level will not ask those same questions of you. So you always pose it on the other because you have to acknowledge something about that individual. Either the higher being that you're unwilling to submit because they have more power, or you are the individual say, no, I am God. That was the issue with the devil. It's like, I want to be you, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I want all the power and authority and all of that to change the world as I so desire. And that's part of what I see. So if you were given that, there would still be a problem. You're sinful. God gives you everything he has, but doesn't change your heart. The world would be in a worse condition than we find it now. The problem is God has all the power, but he doesn't have the sin. And that's why he died. That's why the cross is so powerful. If we don't, as Christians, we don't get across that, that's problematic. So just from a philosophical without religiosity, that's why I get trouble sometimes in individuals who say, okay, where is your answer to those very questions that you pose? That's all I have, though.
I think I approach those questions vastly different from the way y'all do. I just approach them because they're questions. Not because I want to be religious or because I want to be a follower. It's just because those are the questions that are there.
Do you want to believe what's true, though?
Who are you to say what's true?
Well,
are you God?
No, but I follow him, so I feel pretty. I feel pretty tapped in. You know, and so because I've studied, and again, because I've studied the arguments for atheism and I've studied for the naturalist if I can't come away from it with anything less than deism. So let's say there is the Om, as George Carlin put it. Om. Like George Carlin, he had a bit on that, right? And he was talking about, because even Einstein was not an atheist. He believed that, but here's where you get to the point, and I think the moral argument for God's existence is one of the greatest, because when you have to come down to say what is right and what is wrong, you have to have an answer for that, and there is no naturalistic, because in the animal kingdom, when a male lion comes into a pride, what does he do? You know how he does it? He kills every cub that's there. After he kicks the ass of the previous lion. He comes in there and he kills every single cub. And what do the females do? They
Shake
don't.
That booty.
They submit.
Shake that booty at me.
They go and heat instantly.
Right.
Now, according to a naturalistic argument, you could say that human beings are just elevated lions, elevated chimps, whatever. Why don't we do that? And there are cultures that do that. And there are cultures that do that. But yet there's that natural, that's wrong. There's something wrong about that. There's something that is evil, good and evil. Right and wrong. Those questions are the ones that we have to struggle with. Those are the ones that we have to come back to say, why do I say this is right and this is wrong? This is good and this is evil. And you can't just say because I feel it, because now you're back in the feelings. Oh, it's just my feelings. I feel like that.
Yeah, you can totally say you can feel it, because I can be pissed off and I can grab a gun and I'm like, you motherfucker, I'm ready to shoot you. But as soon as I put gun to shoulder, I'm already having these feelings of like, whoa, no, what am I doing? This is not right.
Why is it not right, though?
I don't know. That's just a feeling.
Well, I do know.
There's some internal instinctive
exactly.
feeling saying, what you're about to do is fucking wrong.
But it's the imago Dei.
Is that the voice of God?
It's the image of God. You are made in the image and likeness of God, the imago Dei. That's why that's there. That's that still small voice. That's why it's there, that you know that there's something there.
Yeah, because sin destroyed us in the relationship with God and with another. But some of his, I can't remember the term, instinct is still present.
Yeah.
The issue is, because of that, it's trying to your point, lead us to remembering basically who God is and submitting to that. It didn't completely disappear, because if it did, then you'd have the situation with the lions, the lion and the cubs, like everything is to go.
So it would test tube.
Might makes right. Might makes right. And that is the argument.
That has been the history. Might makes right.
Oh well, and especially in Marxism, that is the story of Marxism. Might makes right.
That's right.
He who's got the biggest gun wins.
So it would test tube baby have that same internal instinctive feeling of I'm about to take somebody's life. I better think about what I'm doing.
Yes, of course they would.
I think even if they did it, they'd have that issue of shame. Something would happen.
Unlike the lion.
Yeah.
Unlike the male chimp, which, by the way, a male chimp, dude, will rip your lips off.
And, 100 men
man. And they're the closest to the DNA line that we've got, and they're pretty savage.
So they say.
Yeah.
Let's see you face off with one.
No. I'm not saying I can beat one. But
okay.
So they say.
All right.
But to answer your question on the voice of God.
Yeah.
We could sit here until we're blue in the face. Our voice of God is going to be voice of God is from him to you. It ain't got nothing from us. I mean, we can tell you what our voice of God sounds like and what we believe, but just like your instance when you went to New Mexico in the church, the feeling. I mean, that's all that I feel 100%. That was a voice of God coming to you.
So you think I have a problem with submission?
I think it's submission. That's what I had. I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
So
I did too. I absolutely did too.
Yeah, so
it was about 2010, 2011 when I started having.
Which is not always a good thing, by the way.
Yeah.
No, you can grow up in some cults.
But it's still, that's true.
But it was about 2010, 2011. I started having this revelation of unraveling and maybe everything that I've been taught, maybe it's not real. Maybe it's just been, I don't know. My path to God needs to be my path to God, not anybody else's. I don't want to believe in God. I don't want to believe in Christ because somebody said you have to.
Right.
I want to be on the path that leads me to discovery.
And that's the only way.
And I agree with that. I think I 100% concur with that. Yeah. So my path took me, because I had a season where I was like, there's something not right here within Christianity. But then there was a difference I began to see, and I'm rediscovering that is, there's the relationship with Jesus, and then there's the relationship with his entities.
Yeah.
And sometimes if your focus is simply, that's why I think a lot of Christians fall away as pastors or church. The one thing I always hear them when they said why they fell away, it was always, well, I didn't see this outcome. I didn't see, but they never said it was because of Jesus. And I was like, is it Jesus? Because your focus was on people falling short, but you never articulated that it was Jesus who disappointed you. And I had to think of that in my own journey. It's like, now I have to focus more. Jesus promised this, and not to attribute to Jesus things he didn't say as well, because he never said, when I follow you, when you follow me, everything's going to be rosy. He said, no, when you follow me, everything's going to be harder.
Yeah.
Your faith has to go above the world you're in. The brokenness in you, the brokenness around you, the brokenness of the devil. Yeah. They're going to be attacking you even more because you're focused on me.
As they persecuted me,
they will persecute you. And
right.
so the thing was Jesus. Everything at the church gathering, those are additions to the relationship with him.
Yeah.
Because all those things will fall apart. And if your focus is only on that, then of course it makes sense of why you would be disappointed in Jesus. But make it fair, at least. I think there's an issue of fairness. Because what you're articulating is not fair to him, and saying that I want to be God, but yet I'm going to blame you for everything that you're doing. No. Jesus, I think God would say, no, you can't call me out on that, bro. If you want to be God, then you be God.
Yeah. That onus is on you now.
Yeah.
Well, no, and thank you for bringing back to the point. And I because again, I always get caught up in the intellectual arguments and all that stuff. I really do. But yet again, I talk about the intellectual arguments for the existence of Jesus of Nazareth and the proof of his resurrection. And when you get to that point, and that's why I want to give you some stuff on the Shroud of Turin. I really do.
Okay.
Because I think when you go through that, and when you talk about, once you can accept Jesus for who he is as God incarnate, right? And the Shroud of Turin is over. It's there is some amazing evidence on that thing. But let's just say, let's go back to Jesus. So the God that we worship, right? The God that we worship, what happened to him? He died naked, tortured, in the most humiliating and horrific death that a human being could die. And so we think, okay, well now that's why it was so radical. That's why there's early graffiti in the Colosseum. Actually, when you go to Rome, the earliest icon of Jesus is graffiti in Rome of Jesus, and they're saying I can't remember the Roman's name. Let's say Plebeius. Plebeius worships Jesus or worships Christos, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a donkey. It's a donkey hanging on a cross. They were mocking him because, this is ridiculous. He's worshiping a guy that's
or were they just Republicans?
No. He worships an ass. He worships an ass. Because the wisdom of God is what, Reuben? It's foolishness to men. Right.
Yeah, the wisdom of God's foolishness to men.
Yes, and God gave us these things to confound the wise. Right, that's what Paul says. Right, so when you look at the life of Jesus and you look at who he is and what he did, and you truly study who Jesus of Nazareth is, that's why your arguments for a creator, the arguments for the moral, the ontological, the epistemological argument, all of these things, it's like, look, at the end of the day, come back to Jesus of Nazareth, come back to who he is, and study who he is, and really, and then at that point, take it from here and go to here, right? And I always struggled with that, right? And get to that point where. And also, it's understanding the brokenness within each of us.
Sure.
Right? The bad things that we want to do that we talked about earlier. Yeah. Why do we have those? And why do we not do those? And when we do those, what's the solution to those? And it's Jesus.
And it can't be you. The broken can't come back. This is somebody said about, and this is why I'm excited when you guys are going to have Ray on, because Ray's a theologian.
For sure.
This is the Puerto Rican dude?
Yeah, but this boy, you got to be. But to think about he said, he said this that was interesting to me. He's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And he could have walked away from the church, and he said, I wanted to, and the way they did me. Yeah. But he said, the one thing I couldn't do is get past the cross.
Yeah.
Like everything else, like if I can get past that, I'm going to do whatever. And the reason why is, I think about it. Why did Jesus die on the cross? It wasn't to protect us from anybody else. It was protect him. It was protect us from him. He had to figure out a way how to save us from himself, who could not be around sin.
Well, you're taking the substitutionary atonement.
Because my thing as a believer is like, if sin is the issue, to me, sin is the ultimate issue.
Absolutely it is.
And if that cannot, and he can't be around it, he would have to, even in his goodness, he would have to still destroy the humanity he created, because that's why he sacrificed, so he could bridge that relationship.
Okay, so you're taking the Protestant view of God's wrath being poured out, penal substitutionary atonement. That's not it's not a Catholic doctrine.
I liberty disagree with the Catholics.
Have you guys read the book God Hates Religion?
I haven't read it.
Well, that's not true, though.
Have you seen it?
I haven't.
No,
have you read it?
No, but that's not true.
You should read it. All of you should read it. You should all read it.
All right.
Just do it. But you got to get out of your goddamn Catholic mind is the only way to get to heaven.
I don't necessarily. Even the church doesn't teach that, right?
Right. But
and by the way, Chance, I want to apologize, because you and I, seriously, I really do, because you and we've known each other for a while now, and I've never put it to you until we're on mic, and that may not have been fair. And
it's completely fine.
I thought, because this Charlie Kirk thing, man, that's one thing about the good that guy did, is that I haven't, and I've seen this, man. I've seen it from so many people who were conservatives are in the same. They were in the same side of the field, but you know how we nitpick. We have this infighting among one another.
Sure, yeah.
It's just how we do it.
It needs to happen, though.
Yeah. But whenever he's murdered like he was, and it was like, and I would see he was constantly proclaiming the gospel first and foremost. He always did that, and we all know. Again, salt and light. That's what we're commanded to do. We're commanded to do that, and yet we don't. I own a bar, right? And I have bar conversations every day, right? Where they can get really intense. But have I every time with every engagement thought of that first, and I haven't. I've failed in that regard, right? I've failed as a follower of Christ. I've failed in my ultimate mission. It's all around it. Y'all been in there. Y'all seen the crucifix, the St. George.
But you have had conversations.
Oh, no. I haven't ultimately failed, but I in these
baby steps, bro.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
What I was telling Reuben when you were out of the room, like whatever my path leads me to has to be my path, and not just because somebody or something says
absolutely
you have to.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna proclaim that I am a devout follower tomorrow because Chad Miller or Reuben said so.
You shouldn't.
Now the evidence you present to me, keeps me along the path.
Okay, and on that, I got 3 things I want to say before I forget it, because I wrote them in my notes. So you can see them here. First thing is what I want to tell you is you may not believe in God, but I can guarantee He believes in you. Guarantee it.
I think you believe in
yes.
Okay.
Second thing, I know how you are with books.
Now, explaining what a God is or how God is, I can't. I don't know. But I'm believing in a God. Yes.
I know how you are with books. Have you? And I know you were raised up in the church just like I was, in a church. So let's just call it that, not the church, because there's not one.
Yeah, there is.
This is the church right here.
It's right here.
This is the church. Okay, and I want to put that out there. There is no the church. It's this right here. Okay, I'm gonna put that out there.
Okay, are we still doing the Thursday discussions? I want to go.
All right, you are.
Yeah, we missed you this Thursday.
All right, go.
And every other Thursday we've been doing it, brother.
I'm working out.
Come on now.
All right, number 2.
The third thing is I know how you are with books, and I know how you. All it takes is somebody, Doc, throws out a book. You're like, oh, shoot, I got to read that. And it's
no,
amazing.
that's not every book that he's thrown out.
Not every.
I have not blindly.
Not every book.
It's Kama Sutra. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Have you seen the pictures?
Have you dug back into the Bible now that you are your own adult? And if your answer is no, I want you to do that and just go into it as you would any other book.
Is the Bible on audiobook?
Yes.
Truly.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Quite a few.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a few different.
We got Morgan Freeman doing it, you know.
That's the one I'm going to get.
That's the one you got to get. That's right.
Yeah.
So
can't. How can you? That guy has. Does he really read the Bible?
Yeah.
There
really is one.
Isn't he an atheist?
Yeah, but he gets
paid to read a book.
Check gets cash just like anybody else.
That's why I would say go back into it as it's just another book that we say you should probably just take a look at.
Yeah.
Don't go into it like I got to get saved tomorrow. Read this book. I'm going to hell. It's a book, bro.
Yeah.
And have you gone back into that book?
No, I haven't. No.
And can you tell me why?
I've read other books that proclaim otherwise.
Okay. So as an adult, now that how deep you are into books, that I know this.
What other books?
All kinds of. I mean,
One.
But why
one that stands out is Thomas Paine's 'The Age of Reason.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Which is I've read that thing too. So, but why haven't you?
He was
gone
also
back?
Thomas Paine was a deist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think you have not gone back to that book?
Because I'm discovering other things. I grew up most of my life and early teenage years in the Bible.
You think that, but not.
I know that. That's how I grew up.
But why were you doing it? You were doing it because
I was
had
told to. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Go. I would say.
And you don't tell Chance what to do.
What to do? Yes.
Well,
You've
apparently that's not the way to go, because if I'm thinking that, I'm thinking that I'm God.
Well,
that's the message I'm getting.
I'm saying via God.
Yeah.
You think you're God. But I agree with you. Your journey to God is going to be different than anybody else's journey.
But I'm being 100% accurate. If I'm denying God, it's because, in your viewpoint, it's me acting like I am a God.
From a biblical standpoint,
From a
biblical standpoint. I just quote what the Bible says.
No, I think there's value to that.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. But it's not even what the Bible. But of course, what the Bible says corresponds with reality, because the same God who authored Scripture through divine intervention, it authored our very being itself,
right,
and human nature itself, right? And I'm convinced of that, and so and I think the evidence bears it out, right? But it's just so if it's a matter of books, bro, I got you.
It's not a matter of books.
No,
it's just a matter. It's a matter of me being on my path.
Yeah.
And my path has led me to readings that are not the Bible.
And I'm not saying that that's the only book. Obviously not. I've read most of the books that you have. I'm just saying, as an adult with your own brain, take out all the crap that you've had to go this. Maybe just go back and go through it again.
No, you're suggesting that book needs to be a part of my path. You're right.
Well, yes. and I would say that now, Cora's, is she 3 yet?
2 and yes,
she'll be close.
She'll be 3 in February.
Okay, so
and eating bacon.
And I would say that you as it's one thing whenever it's you as just Chance. Mm-hmm. Then it steps up because now it's Chance and Sarah.
Yeah.
Now it's the Overton family, and then now it's Cora.
Yeah.
And then now it's the new baby. So you now what we were talking about as the husband, as the alpha, as the shepherd of your family. That it is the levels of importance keep stepping up. Now, does that mean that am I saying that you have missed the mark and you have failed your daughter? Absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely not. You love your daughter. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that whenever if you truly, because I believe it and I'm utterly convinced that it's true, in order for you to truly raise that young lady, and do we know? Is number 2? We don't know yet. It's too early, right?
There is one person right now that does.
Well, thanks a lot.
Are we doing the gender reveal?
Yeah.
Am I invited? I don't know. Did I just?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am now.
Thanks a lot.
We haven't started planning it, but yes.
Yeah. Is she did the DNA thing? She did the blood thing?
We did the blood work, yeah. So
Sarah doesn't know though, right?
Her friend Kim, he got to do the last one. So her friend Kim has the results of whatever this one's going to be.
How are you going to do it? Do you know Tannerite or is it?
No.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it's going to suck worse than the first one. Because the first one you could not beat.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is
we're not going all out.
All I'm saying with that is that you now, as having a little soul in your hands, right? And now 2, right? That because I love you enough that I truly, and again, I want to spend eternity with you. I just felt compelled, man, that we got to talk about this, and again, and that just goes to show that even though I know right now we may disagree on this, that doesn't affect us.
I hope not.
And it doesn't affect you,
because if it does, you're the one judging me.
No, exactly. And that's not my place. So, and that's not what I'm doing. And so that's why I think that, and that's why, again, that this just goes to show that whether we share the core values of who we are, it doesn't mean that we can't love one another, that we can't treat one another with dignity, with respect, with honor, where I truly... Like I learned things from you, right? And you learn, and we it's that iron sharpening iron, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I love that proverb, and that's why of all the verses that I could have put on the sign on the front of the chief, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. I've always believed that is true, because it is something that I've seen so many times in my life where I've had men that I love that are godly men, that are good men, that still are able to say, hey, you know what, Chief, you need to. You might want to step it back. You're not being diplomatic enough, bro.
I'm being a dickhead.
You know. And I still want you to tell me, bro. You got to tell me if I'm not being diplomatic.
You're not being appeasing. That's what I like about you, bro.
Yeah.
But what I meant by the whole go back to the Bible is because I had the same thing, because the church I was brought up on, when I was able to get out of that, I was 1,000% the opposite way because of that same reason. I was brought up to where I had to. So I went away from it a long time. But then when I came back, I actually tried to. The prayer that I prayed to God when I came back to that was, take all that shit that I had in me from my bring up out of my brain and let me just come back into it, a fresh, open mind. And so I did the whole...
You apparently had a very negative experience. I didn't.
Well, I did.
I had a great childhood.
And I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying it's different from when you're doing something because your mom and dad said to do it.
Yeah.
Versus you going back into... And like there's books that we all have, that me, you, and Doc especially have all talked about, and we're like, man, this book. It's never, and not just us three, but it's never usually the Bible ever got brought up. I was reading the Bible today, and this book. So what I would suggest is go back into it as yourself, a grown ass man. Take spirituality, take religion, almost take God out of it if you want to. Just read it for the book it is.
I respect what I totally respect what you're saying. Yes,
and I could be saying it wrong.
No, I totally I know what you're. Right. I know what you're saying. That's exactly right.
I would add two things. I think I resonate with you, Chance, because our journeys are so different, and God takes it. But at the end of the day, it's the Holy Spirit's going to move. We can talk all we want. We can articulate those books, whatever. But I'm confident enough in the Holy Spirit that He will move at the time of His choosing, and everybody's like as He did in mine. Number two, I think about C.S. Lewis. If you know C.S. Lewis, one of the greatest Christian writers, but he didn't come to the Bible. He didn't come to the Lord by reading the Bible. He came to the Lord by reading The Atheist. And his argument, if you read it, is really interesting. He said, "Look, when I read The Atheist and I read all the other things, I was still grappling with the same question with all religions: what is my condition?" And so, even if none of these made sense, logically, the closest one that dealt with my condition was the Bible.
Yeah.
So, number one, I didn't have to understand. I submitted first. And once that submission came, then things began to be revealed to me. Because reading the Bible as a believer under Jesus is different than reading it as a book. Because I read the Bible when I wasn't saved.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. But once I became to submit to the Lord, I read it. It's like, I get it now.
But to Heath's point, to Heath's point, what is the Word of God? The Word of God is alive.
It's alive, but
right? It's a sword.
It's your positioning in vis-a-vis. I say, where do you stand vis-a-vis of that? Because you can stand it from outside and read and be like, it's a great book of philosophy. And it is. But if you read it under the submission of the Lord, it's beyond a good book of philosophy.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I meant by going into it open-minded, because people read the Bible now. Yeah. And we read it with all the stuff that we've been taught from our parents, our grandparents, other people. For some reason, we don't look at the Bible as just another book. It's always okay. This is going to tell me I'm going to hell if I'm doing it this. It's going to tell me I'm not living life the right way here. And that's why when I came back, I prayed and I was like, just open my mind and let me read your word. And you tell me, you show me what I need to get out of it and help me receive what I need to get out of it. Because I mean, no matter what, whether you're an atheist or astronaut or whatever, that's a good freaking book. I mean, it's a great book.
Well, so that's why I was asking about Joseph and the story of Joseph, right? So Joseph was the son of Jacob, right? He's the favored son. He gets the Technicolor dream coat, right? He's the coat of many colors. And his brothers are all like, man, pardon my language, fuck this guy, dude.
Yeah,
like Joseph's
getting it all.
He's getting it all, dude. And he's correcting them. And so they decide, no, we're going to sell this guy. Actually, the original plan, we're going to murder him.
Yeah.
We're going to murder him.
Throw him in
right?
a ditch,
and then Reuben, the firstborn son, Reuben.
Said, you're not killing my brother.
Yeah. My man Reuben.
No one's killing my brother.
My man Reuben calls it out and says, no, we're not going to do it, man. There he is.
Any of my brothers around
Thank you, Reuben.
Table,
yeah. We're not going to do that. Instead, let's sell him into slavery.
Which I don't know how that's better.
Might be worse.
You got me. What? Living.
What? So Reuben says, no. Let's don't kill him. Let's sell him into slavery. Now Joseph is literally, they dig a pit. They throw him in the pit. And no telling what the cries of Joseph were that night. And they're sitting there. They're literally at a campfire. All his 11 brothers are out there.
Yeah.
Or 10 brothers because Benjamin wasn't there. And then the next day they come in and they sell him to from Midian, right? The Midianites that were passing through. They sell him in and he goes to Egypt. And now he goes into Potiphar's household as a slave. And then Potiphar's wife, because Joseph has favor with God. That's what it says. Joseph found favor with God. He just did. He just had a natural. And so he comes in and he gets grace with God. And Potiphar's wife says, she's macking on him, man. She's throwing it down. And Joseph's like, you're married to Potiphar. That's my master. I'm not going to do that. And then she finally sees him and says, lie with me. Have sex with me. Give me the D. And that's literally what she said. And, Joseph shreds.
So when you're going back in the Bible, you're probably not going to see.
That version is not in there.
Yeah.
Am I wrong on the paraphrase? Reuben, am I wrong on the paraphrase?
You're not wrong.
There's a lot of different versions, but you're probably not going to hear Morgan Freeman say.
Morgan Freeman is not reading that.
The D.
This is D. This is the chief version, bro. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm telling it like it is, right?
Yeah.
So Joseph flees, and now what happens? Joseph then goes into prison. Mm-hmm. He goes into prison because Potiphar's wife has accused him. Potiphar's like, "What the mess, Joseph? You rape him all?" And then ultimately, now while he's in prison, he's down there with the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, right?
Yeah.
And they're all down there, and they had these dreams. And they were cast into prison because they had these dreams. And Pharaoh says, "I want you to interpret the dreams." And the Pharaoh had a dream, and they couldn't do it. Now it was literally a baker and
was that the wine?
Yeah. So they're down in prison. They can't interpret the dream. Are we good? I just saw that come up.
Oh yeah, it's always something.
No, you're good. So now the Pharaoh has this dream, and Joseph has interpreted the dreams of the two men in prison with him. And one of them gets put to death, and one of them goes back into the Pharaoh's household. Mm-hmm. And he's like, whoa, I know someone. And he's down in the dungeons. And by the way, prison, as bad as it may be right now, I can't imagine what an Egyptian prison is like while you're locked down there. And Joseph has been sold by his brothers into slavery. He goes into slavery and is falsely accused by the wife of his master. He's now in prison. I mean, the boom, 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 boom. He's down in the depths of hell on earth.
On earth, yeah.
On earth. And then Pharaoh tells his dream about the stalks of corn, that there are 7 stalks of corn that are healthy, and then there are 7 that are wasting. 7 cows that are healthy and plentiful, 7 cows that are bones and nothing. And Joseph, because God has shown favor toward him, interprets the dreams and says, you're going to have 7 years of plenty, you're going to have 7 years of famine, and you need to plan ahead because the 7 years of famine are coming. And for some reason, Pharaoh believes him, and they start stocking up, and they stock up all this grain, and they stock it up, and then when the famine comes, now, finally, after years of suffering, after false accusations, after being ridiculed, and all of the attacks that Joseph has got, he's finally gotten vindication. But yet, he still doesn't have his brothers. He still doesn't have the love of his father. And remember, he's the favorite son. Mm-hmm. The love of his father, he didn't have that for decades, or who knows how long it was, right? We don't know. Mm-hmm. But it was at least 14 years, right? So now, finally, and then this plague has ravaged the land. It's ravaged all of the entire Middle Eastern area, right? So now his brothers come, the same brothers that sold that dude into slavery, that wanted to murder him, except for my boy Reuben, who saved his life. Reuben saves his life, and now they come there, and they don't recognize him. It's been a long time since they've seen their little brother.
Yeah.
Right? And now he's dressed in Egyptian garb. He's got his whole thing. And he's the second one in command. There's nobody greater in Egypt other than
the Pharaoh.
The Pharaoh.
Yeah.
And so now they come, and then what happens? Mm-hmm. Their brothers come, and what does Joseph do? He weeps bitterly. Yeah. He weeps bitterly. And so all that to say, when you look at the evil that's going on in your life, you look at the suffering, you look at the bad things that have happened. That's why Romans 8:23 or 28, I always forget them, it's always resonated with me because, and that goes back to the point of the problem of evil. Because you could say at Joseph, if any point in his life he could have addressed the problem of evil, and there's nobody, you haven't been thrown in a pit, you haven't been sold into slavery, you haven't been thrown into prison, falsely accused, right? All of these things. None of these things have happened to us, and yet Joseph maintained his integrity through that.
Well, technically, we have all been thrown into slavery, but We live in America. We live in America.
Yeah. That's a different kind of slavery.
35% slaves.
Yeah. So
I haven't paid my slavery taxes yet.
But at the end of the day, when his brothers come and they need food, and he weeps bitterly, and then he comes out and he finally reveals himself to him. And he says, I am your brother. I am Joseph. And all of them, you can imagine. Can you imagine how they felt like, oh, shit, dude, he's going to kill us, bro. But he doesn't. And interesting things, though, not that they were drinking Natty Lights.
They wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe.
But what did they do? It said they made their hearts merry together, and they drank.
So they had mead.
The good stuff.
Yeah, they were drinking mead.
Wine.
I'm just saying, that's what the Bible says, man.
Yep.
They did. So you got to trust in God. So no matter how bad things are getting, man, no matter how awful things may be in the moment, that's why I've always loved the story of Joseph. I've always loved it, man, because it shows that in your current trial, whatever that may be, God may have a plan, and God does have a plan. And by the way, we can't minimize, because again, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. So we can't minimize that. Even if your suffering here on earth ultimately ends in what seems like destruction, such as Charlie Kirk's murder, as that blood gushes out of his neck, and you think that's the end of it, man. It's like right now we're looking at it and we're already seeing the seeds of what can happen when someone dies for something that they shouldn't have died for, that God can use that to bring greater glory, not just to himself, but greater good for all of us.
Where is the thin line, though, that we cross between being godly men and forgiving and forgetting to being violent?
Okay.
To defending ourselves, to defending our culture, to defending our morals and values.
This was
because there's hundreds of thousands that were celebrating the death. So if it comes to it,
yes.
Where do we cross that line?
So this was a thought I had literally within the first 3 minutes of us starting this whole thing, and it's one I've been thinking about a lot, because at the end of the day, our individual response, that's what matters. That's what matters, because that's the only thing you can control.
Yeah.
You can't control. None of us can control what happened. We can only control what comes out of our mouths.
Sometimes.
Well, right. Right. But at the end of the day, we have to, our response, our individual response, that's what matters. And that's where, and that's why I legitimately, when you said about, and I know what you meant. I truly know what you meant about being diplomatic, because I'm trying to be diplomatic, but also speaking truth. And by the way, when you speak, I mean, at the end of the day, Jesus did take a whip of cords. I'm not equating myself with him, and I'm not saying that I'm taking a whip of cords, because I haven't got to that point yet. But you have to speak the truth boldly, right, and without compromise. But we have to be willing to do that to a point that we're still not going to cross that line. And I think that that's the important thing about Charlie Kirk.
Where it becomes genocide.
To where it becomes violence.
Yeah.
Right? And look, man, we get it, dude. How can you not be tempted to respond and commit evil for evil?
I don't want to.
But it's natural.
Instinctively, I don't want to, but instinctively, I also want to.
I would argue instinctively, I want to.
Yeah.
Instinctively, I definitely want to.
But there's hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of them that's in an echo chamber that's also advocating for death to the rest of his family.
Yeah.
And to the people that believe in his same beliefs.
And go ahead, Reuben.
No, but I think it goes back to what you were asking Chance about his children. It's like, yeah, you do that. Understand that's going to be visited upon future generations. That's just the reality of it. Because then you'll be like, my father killed this person, your father killed that, and generation after generation after generation.
But
to carry that.
But when you have kids, though, what your natural inclination is when someone hits you, what do? You hit
them back.
That's it is, and I agree 100% with that.
But what does Jesus say?
Yeah.
If someone strikes you on your right cheek, turn to him your left also. If someone steals your cloak, give him your coat also.
Jesus obviously didn't have 30-06 bullets.
But I think.
Oh, no. Yo, you know what Jesus had? Jesus had 10,000 legions of angels that he could have called. And these are angels. These are the angels that bound Satan in chains. Jesus says he's hanging with nails and he's suffering. He says what? He says, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Yeah,
that's the stuff that, boy, you want to talk about really rubbing into your.
But that's not relating to current situation.
Of course it is.
Good has always prevailed.
Yeah.
So when does Jesus work through us to ensure?
Well, here's the beauty of it.
Needs to prevail.
Here's the beauty of it. Here's the beauty of it is that we know, because the Bible tells us so, that Jesus, whenever he came the first time, he came suffering. He came and he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He allowed that time. But there is a time when Jesus is coming and a sword shoots out of his mouth and he's riding a white horse. And there's a time when Jesus is coming where there's a reckoning that's coming. And we know that that's coming. And that's what all of us as believers, we say, even so, come, Lord Jesus, because he's the one that can do that. I can't do that. In the meantime, I've got to operate under the forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Well, you can do it. You and a group of hundreds of thousands.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Ultimately, you got to rely on him.
Yeah. I think somewhere, even Ecclesiastes, it talks about there's a time for war, there's a time for peace. It goes through all of that. And I think it goes back to
as
what
the
it is.
Birds put to song, right?
It goes to a little bit about what we, as believers, is like, we're going to take the brunt of a lot of this for those who believe in the Lord, and meaning that turn your cheek, turn the other cheek. What is that in Proverbs? A soft answer turns away wrath.
Turns away the wrath.
We have to give soft answers to this and leave it to the Lord to play out all of these things, not only here but throughout the world. Because again, like I said, I keep up with a lot of the stuff that's happening outside of the U.S. U.S. is because I'm presently here, but there's a lot of atrocities that just burn because they're so close to home and close to friends that I live in, and you can't always live on that and trust the Lord for that. But there's a time he's going to come, and at the end of the day, his goodness will prevail. And again, being a believer,
wrongs will be made right.
But being a believer means that you are unto death. It calls us sometimes that your death will cause other things to happen. And forget Charlie Kirk in the sense that, his was big. But even in our everyday lives, I think as believers, like every little thing we do in the circle that we have, because sometimes I think we look, and I understand this universal, this, national thing that has happened. But to your point, being at the bar, sometimes, that happens and you're late, but you're own surroundings of what the Lord has called you to. Yeah. Right? That's where you can make a difference in everything.
Well, this is all great in a pacifist way, but you aren't answering my question.
Which is?
When will you have enough? You're not going to sit with your back to the bar and let the stranger come in with a knife and stab you in the back.
No. That's a good point. That's a good point. So
you react is your question.
When do you react?
So again, and this is why I think. So Jesus said there's a couple of hard statements. The one that's the first one is that he who would follow me must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow after me. Now, those at the time understood what that meant. They understood what taking up your cross meant. In the Roman culture, you have to understand, like that was not, if you were a citizen of Rome, you could not, no matter what you did, you could not be crucified. So taking up your cross daily was like that was strangely foreign to them, right? Right. But that's why I've always thought that in itself is one of the most difficult verses. But that's why I said that if someone takes from you your shirt, you give him your jacket also, right? If someone compels you to go a mile with them, and a lot of people don't, the context of that. A Roman soldier could come up and say, I want you to go a mile with me and carry my backpack and my sword and my spear. Hey, you're not a citizen, I'm a soldier, carry my stuff. And then the Christian response, what Jesus is saying is, you don't just go a mile with him. When you get to the end of that mile, what do? Hey, would you like me to carry it for another one? And that guy's like, what are you talking about? I'm only legally allowed to compel you to go a mile with me. And he says, yes, but I'm telling you, I'm going to go another mile with you. I'm going to go ahead and carry your stuff. And now that, like St. Paul says, it says when you feed your enemy, when you clothe them, when you do these things, it heaps hot coals upon their heads, right? And so that's where look, being a Christian's not easy, bro. It's not easy, dude, because there's this natural desire for revenge, for justice, for things that we feel like it's our job to do. And yet you have to rein that in. You have to pull that in and say, I have to trust in the justice of the Lord. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Right?
But I agree with what Chance is asking.
If someone
in
comes
a particular position in that, I would say, let me use an example real quick. So I had a friend of mine back in college, a Christian, and she said if someone broke into her home, that's the what if situation, and was going to kill her family, and she had an opportunity to stop them, and she said I wouldn't do it. I'm like, why? I said, because I don't know if that person is a believer. I told her that's a bunch of shit. That is crap beyond crap. Because in point of fact, you would be wrong. Because I understand the principle.
Yeah.
But
you don't know what that guy's just going to take your goods.
You leave that but the Lord has convinced you, has given you the sanctity of life. That's why you don't have the right to even take your own life. Your life is more important.
Correct.
So the higher principle is the sanctity of life.
Yeah.
Even your life.
The Imago Dei. You don't have the right to destroy that.
Yeah. So if you have the ability to take that person out to save yourself or the family, you do it.
You do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are violating the principle of the sanctity of a higher. God will handle the situation with him. But because the idea is like I said before, I think the judgment day is God's not looking and saying you're not going to be before him and say, look what I did for you. He's like, I don't care what you did for me. What did you do? What I asked you to do?
For your fellow man.
I asked you to save your own life. Did you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, I let that person, he became a Christian. I don't care.
But would
You're dead here because you didn't do what I asked you to do.
But would you agree, though? But would you?
I follow. I agree.
Okay, but would you agree, though, that each of us as single men, right? As single men, no kids, no wife, no children, nothing. Like we're on our own. Someone breaks into your house. Now, that's going to be hard enough to just say, hey, man.
I'm not quoting Bible verses to the intruder.
Well, I know.
I'm not.
Okay, yeah, but this
he's kidding. He's getting a 44 Magnum slug.
I know, but
wherever, more than one.
And this is the tension. This is the friction. This is the rub, man. Because Jesus literally said, if someone steals from you your shirt, give him your coat also. That's why, to me, of all the verses in the Bible that are hard to reconcile with my nature, that specific one has been the hardest. Because you know what it's like. Someone takes your stuff, and you say, no, don't just take that. Here, let me give you this. That's so against our nature.
Well, I think it's sort of like a doctor. They're practicing. We're always trying to be like Jesus. We're not.
No, but regardless,
I'm definitely
going to
ask for forgiveness for murdering the motherfucker that just kicked in my door.
Okay, it's not murder.
Well, right,
self-defense.
But yet now, whenever we take my wife and my children, now we're talking about. And by the way, the Catholic Church teaches there is definitely.
Let's scale it out. Let's scale it out to a national scale where we have an opposing religion, a massive one, looking to come in and take over. And then we're not going to sit around quoting Bible verses to them and being passive.
No, what we're going to do is especially if you follow church history, is whenever our Christian brothers over in the Middle East are being overrun by the Islamic horde, we're going to call a crusade. And we're going to come in.
Not just the Middle East, it's already Europe.
No, I'm talking about historically. We're going to come in and we're going to rescue you guys. And people want to vilify the Crusades. No. The Crusades should have been done earlier, and they should have been more intense because they needed to rescue their Christian brothers and sisters from the Islamic horde that was invading them. Now, this is something that would get me canceled. It would just that's anathema. You can't say the Crusades were good. It's like, yes, I will. I absolutely will.
You did. And
I'll tell you. I'll tell you this: if Pope Leo calls a crusade again, I'll see y'all. Christians running the bar. I'm out, dude. I'm gone, dude, because I believe that defending and again, that's that tension, man. That's that tension of but when Jesus is saying that, he says turn your right cheek and your left cheek.
Yeah, but
he's not talking about someone raping my wife.
The better argument for that is if Pope calls another one, are you going to allow a Christian to go? Because he's not going to call your old ass.
Yeah, that's true. I'm beyond the draft age.
He's going He's going to call you and say, you're sending your boy here.
I can say this right now on record. 100%. If my son chose to do that, then I would.
No.
I would absolutely support him.
There's no chosen. This is draft. It's going to war for God.
The Crusades aren't draftable, you know.
Are they not?
No, they're not. There's no legal contract. It's pure spiritual.
Yeah.
It's voluntary on his part. But yes.
But what you just said, I'm not going to give you my jacket that you're asking me. I'm going to give you my coat, which is my son.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Well, as y'all may or may not know, so Christian is contemplating. He's considering and prayerfully considering the vocation of the priesthood, which if and as y'all know, like for a Catholic priest, that means sacrificing first and foremost your relations with women and marriage, right? And being voluntarily celibate for the rest of his life. So if he's willing to contemplate that and make that sacrifice, then, you know, when it comes to something like this, I so believe it in my core that I would be and by the way, I can't say anything no matter what because he's of legal age and all that. But yes, for my will, if you were just asking my opinion, I would say yes.
Right.
If he chooses to do it, then yeah, I'm down.
Yeah. Well, we're getting long on the tooth here, but I want to ask, and let's wrap this up with this one very important question. Why the fuck are rooftops not patrolled at these high density events?
It's such an easy thing to do.
Drones are a dime a dozen with high resolution.
Dime a dozen, bro.
It blows my mind. After
what are we doing?
The whole assassination attempt with Trump, it's like, put out 5 drones, watch every fucking rooftop within a 3-mile radius.
Why?
It's easy.
Why?
They've got thermal cameras on them. You can see a person.
And we're not talking about having the local my drones. My nonprofit, whatever it is, we're coming in, and I got 5 drones that I'm sending up.
Yeah, but you guys, that's what y'all don't understand is you can't fly drones when it's a CIA operative.
Deep state hit.
I don't.
That's a good place to wrap it up.
Let me put this microphone down and slowly turn around.
You saw the guy. Oh no, we're gonna end it there. Keep them on the edge of their seat. We're gonna end it there. Deep state hit. And you saw the guys doing the hand signals behind him.
I still say that there's enough violence from the transgender ideology. There's enough motivation from them. Now, was he funded? Was he equipped? Was all of this stuff done? I don't know. I'm open to it, but I think.
But also, don't trust your government.
100%.
Bro, who are you talking to, man?
That's who he was talking about.
Yeah.
All right. Reuben, Chad.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
Lovely chat with both
I
y'all.
think this is a good podcast. Whether you like Charlie or not, I think it's probably made him proud. We started out with political bullshit, and we ended with God.
Amen.
Can't ever go wrong with
that. That's right, brother.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love each and every one of you here.
I love you, brother.
And everybody that's listening, we love you, too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This will be Brosky and Chad, too, so.
Ooh, boy.
Chad Africa,
get them Chadgens, baby.
Chadgens out.
Chadgens out. That's right.
All right, Doc, I got to say good night, and you got to sign off with adios.
Adios.
Good night.
The Dark Doc. There he is.
Adios. A bientôt.
You've been listening to the Whiskey Bros Around the Table.